Thanks for joining Hoops Hidden Gems podcast. Another great edition coming on tonight. First, I'd like to thank all the listeners for checking us out. This is going on our 19th edition. Man, we've been running on this. We started in November. We getting there. A plethora of coaches that have been knowledgeable, and some of y'all that haven't known them, you get to know them now. Tonight, another great show as usual. We're going to have a number of topics to talk about. From JUCO on the men's side to AAU in the live periods that are coming up in July, as well as one of the new up-and-coming D3 women's head coaches. So we're going to kick this off tonight with Coach Joe Eatman from Shelton State Community College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. How about you?
Man, just another day. I'm actually up here in Kentucky. I've been working, so I spend Monday through Friday up here, and then I'm back in Atlanta on the weekends for AAU and broadcasting games, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, man. So I'm hustling, man, hustling.
That's big time. That's big
man,
time.
I'm trying to get it like you, man. You know how it is, trying to get it like you. So, Coach, one of the things, I've been big on D3s. I've been big on NAIs. I've been big on D2s. Outside of D1s, you and I both know about the JUCO world. The JUCO world is a different animal. You have guys that are D1 potential, D2 potential, NAI potential. You have a plethora, and you have some killers because you have a quality program where you're not only sending them to D1, but you're going up to Hutch every year. And for our listeners that don't know what Hutch is, that's like going to the NCAA tournament when you go to Hutchinson, Kansas, and when you go for the JUCO world to play in the tournament. And fortunately, Coach Eatman has a quality program where he sends his teams up there on a regular basis. He produces quality prospects as well. So, Coach, we're going to talk some more about that. Tell us some more about Shelton State, man.
We've like to build. We like to think we run our program just like a Division I program at Shelton. We've won 4 of the last 5 region championships in Alabama, which means we get an automatic bid. So we've been to Hutch for the last 5 years that I've been head coach at Shelton.
Okay.
We've also had 18 guys sign Division I scholarships in the last 5 years, and we've got 100% placement rates on all our guys matriculating to the next level.
That's big.
All that comes with just putting in the work, having the right guys buying in, and that's just getting it done. We were able to make it to the Sweet 16 this year in Hutch. That's big for our program because as much as we've never been as far as the Sweet 16. So we were able to accomplish that this year and plan to move forward and achieve the next goal next.
Got you. So, how long have you been at Shelton State, Coach?
I've been there a total of 9 years. I was an assistant there for 4 years, and I just finished my 5th season as head coach.
Okay. Now, question for you. Now, what people don't understand, how do you recruit? Do you recruit on a regional level, or do you take kids from anywhere?
We take kids from anywhere in Alabama. We don't have any out-of-state restrictions. We like to stay at home and get the guys that we can at first, but we don't limit ourselves to where we go to get guys. We go anywhere we need to go to get what we need to get to be successful.
I definitely understood. So with that being said, what type of programs do they offer at Shelton State for kids on the academic side?
On the academic side, it's pretty much like most community colleges. You cover all your basics. You're going to get all your freshman and sophomore math, English, science, and histories. I like to think we do a really good job of getting guys associate's degrees. For the last 2 years, we've had 100% graduation rate, where all our guys have graduated and received associate degrees. We do have some specific areas where you can go into, like criminal justice and business and those type areas. We do have some of those freshman and sophomore level classes for that as well. And then as well as most junior colleges, we also have technical programs where guys can get trades. I hadn't had one to come in and get a trade in my 5 years there because most of our guys take the courses they need to transfer and play at the next level. But that's also an option for community college. If a guy just wants to come, play 2 years and get a welding degree, is a lot of money in welding. That's an opportunity to get that paid for. So, or any trade, plumbing, HVAC, any trade that guys get, there's also opportunities at the 2-year system for guys like that as well.
Let me ask this. So for your students that somewhat excel and are coming to JUCO kind of to refine their games, let's say they came into Shelton State and they had a couple college courses already. And let's say by the time they're a sophomore, they're already a junior academically. Do you have any dual enrollment programs as well?
We've got a couple of, and I forgot the exact name for it, but we're in Tuscaloosa with the University of Alabama and Stillman College as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have some programs where students can take classes at Stillman or UA, but they also got to have at least 6 hours at Sheldon to be eligible to play at Sheldon.
Yes, correct. Okay, so good. So speaking of the roster that you had this year, tell me about the team you had this year and where your kids ended up going after the season. I know you said you made the Sweet 16. All those kids, are they from Alabama this year or were they from out of state as well?
Most of our kids were from Alabama. We did have one kid that transferred from Louisiana. He played out at a junior college in Texas last year.
Mm-hmm.
We had one kid from Florida on the team as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I think everybody else was from Alabama.
Okay.
But we had a young team, so we hadn't had anybody sign yet. We've got one kid committed to Prairie View, and we've got another kid that's going to go Division II, and I think he's narrowed this decision down to, I think, Wingate and Delta State in West Alabama. So he'll end up going Division II. And to be honest, everybody else was freshmen. We do have one freshman qualifier who, he's been courted by a couple of Division I's because he was a qualifier coming out of high school. So we may lose him because I think, some guys are going to pull the trigger on him pretty soon. But other than that, we were 24-2 last year, and 4 of my 5 starters were freshmen. So
wow,
got a lot coming back, and we've added some pretty good pieces as well.
Yeah, and Wingate, that's my guy over there, Coach Kirkland. What's going on, Coach Kirkland? That's my guy over there. Let me ask this: is anybody taking advantage of the COVID restriction this year, where they can take that extra year?
Yeah, I've actually got a redshirt freshman as well as a sophomore. My point guard this year, he started at point on back-to-back championship teams. Was not getting the looks that he felt like he wanted. He had some Division I stuff, but didn't, as of right now, doesn't want to go that far away from home with the stuff he's got. So he's going to come back, and he's actually going to enroll in a strength and conditioning certificate classes for a year because he's already graduated. So he'll have his associates, and he'll have a certificate and be a certified strength and conditioning coach. He's going to come back and do that this year. And I got a redshirt freshman that only needs one class to graduate, and he's going to come back and he's going to do the same thing as well and take advantage of that year. Also I got a Division I transfer that's taking advantage of it. He was a sophomore this year, been at a couple of Division I's. He's going to come back and take advantage of that third year as well. So we've got some guys that's going to take advantage of it.
Okay. Now, for some of our listeners that aren't familiar with JUCO, Shelton State's a Division I JUCO, correct?
Correct.
So for our listeners that aren't familiar with that, Division I JUCOs are able to give out scholarships. Does Shelton State give out scholarships?
We do give out scholarships. Now, Alabama does have a rule where we play Division I, but it's actually not a Division I scholarship because we don't pay for housing and meals. We pay books, tuition, and fees. And most guys use their Pell Grant, or if they don't qualify for Pell, they don't qualify for Pell Grant, it's an expense to the parents. I tell people all the time, people don't realize, and we're not bragging, we're not tooting our own horn, but it's amazing that we can compete at the level that we can compete with the Florida and the Texas and the Kansas of the world that pay for everything.
Yeah.
And our guys don't get that benefit to be able to pay for their housing and meals. But, like I tell guys, it's an investment for a year or two to come play in our program. And then in a year or two, you won't have to worry about housing and meals because you'll be somewhere where everybody's paying for everything. So,
yeah, you got that right. So let me ask this. So Do you guys have work study that can also assist with that as well?
We do. We do. You know, if a kid qualifies for Pell Grant, I always make my guys sign up for work studies. You know, some get it, some don't.
Okay.
Because, you know, of course, you can't put 20 guys. It wouldn't look right for the school to have 20 men's basketball players all on work study. So,
That's
you
true.
know,
That's true.
we generally have 3 or 4 guys who
Okay.
qualify for work study and get it.
Okay. So now talk about your schedule. I know you play most of your Alabama schools, and then you usually use what at the beginning of the year, like maybe 2 jamborees and 2 other like not really, let's just say exhibitions. Let's put it like that, correct?
Well, you know what we do, and this year we were forced to play all Alabama schools because of the
Okay.
COVID restrictions. So our schedule was already preset for us because we could only play 22 games, and it
Okay.
kind of worked out where we got 14 North Division games, and with one crossover game against everybody in the South, it added up to 22 games. But you
Okay.
know, we generally do all four jamborees
Okay.
because you know you can do 4. So generally we do all 4. You know, we'll go to Dallas, we'll go to Orlando, we'll go to Georgia. You know,
Yeah.
we go wherever we need to go to play the competition we need to play in the preseason.
And you know what's funny about that? That's how I first met you. And you remember not this past year, the year before, when Shelton State played USC Salt
Yeah,
at Corey Black's
yeah,
event.
yeah.
And man, it looked like it was a high Division I game. Remember how there was so
Yeah,
many
it was.
coaches,
It
and I
was.
was like, man, because everybody was thinking USC Salt was going to run away with it.
Yeah.
And there was coaches on the sideline saying, "Hey, man, Shelton State, they're just as good as Salt." And you know, some guys that didn't know about you were like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And one of my good buddies that vouched for you, Coach Huff, was like, "Man, Shelton State is good."
Huff, that's my guy. Shout out to Huff. Huff, that's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
guy. But
he's probably
yeah,
watching.
I remember that game, man, and I think it was actually I don't think Salk had been beat in the preseason
Yeah,
at all.
correct.
I think that was their first time being beat. But you
You're
know,
correct.
we you know our guys we play hard, we get after it. You know, we're gonna compete. We're gonna compete no matter who's in the other jersey on the other side. You know, that's what I preach every day is, you know, it don't matter what they got on the front of their jersey. We got Shelton on the front of ours because we're just as good as anybody in the country. I tell my guys, I feel like that, you know, night in and night out, that, you know, you ain't got to be better than them for 30 games. You just got to be better than them for 40 minutes.
You got that right.
That's kind of how we approach every game. We just got to be better for 40 minutes.
And you know, man, I left out of that game thoroughly impressed. And that's why I was like, I got to meet this guy, definitely. And Huff was like, oh, man, he's a good guy, man. Definitely reach out to him. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was right. I mean, once I reached out to you, you were more than receptive. And I was like, man, you guys play awesome. And I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, number one, you can tell you preach effort and intensity. I mean, and you can't have that you can't be on a JUCO level because people don't understand, man, there's JUCO teams that will beat Division I and Division II teams.
Oh,
People
yeah.
don't understand that. There's some killers at JUCO. Killers.
Yeah.
And watching that game right there, that game could have easily been, and I'm not trying to pump you up. Well, you know what? I'm fine with that, even if I am. That was a quality ESPN game right there.
Yeah.
And anybody that was at that game, because you remember was at Lake Point, by the time halftime hit, the whole sideline was filled, not only with coaches, but people were coming around like, hey, man, what's going on? This is a good game. And I was like, yeah, man, this is a really good game. So, I mean, everybody was locked in from that game. And like I said, I knew about Salk at the time because that coach ended up he went out to Kansas, if I'm not mistaken.
Jake went to Dodge City.
Yeah, he went to Dodge City.
Jake went to Dodge City.
He does a good job too. And, you know, so everybody was like, oh, yeah, they got a really good team. And to see what you guys did and only learn your story even more to say, you know, what you're doing with limited resources as well. Hey, man, hats off to you, man. Definitely hats off to you. I mean, I know this year, now that COVID is not as strictly enforced, Well, I have family there, so we already
Oh
talked
yeah.
about that. You already know I
Oh
will be
yeah.
down there to check you guys out, man. I can't wait for that. Well, I'm going to see you anyway at the Jamborees anyway. Are you going to
Oh
go to
yeah.
Corey Black's again?
Yeah, definitely gonna be at Blacks. I hadn't finished the schedule yet. We
Okay.
still working out some details, and of course, when you JUCO, you got to look at your budget as well to see
Yeah.
what you got to do what your budget allows you to do. So we're gonna look at budget, but that's one thing
Understood.
I will say about Shelton. They give us what we need to be successful, and they give us what we need to get the guys the exposure that they need. So we do. We've been out to Dallas a couple of times. We've been down to Tallahassee a couple of times. We do whatever we go where the coaches are and where the best team, where the top teams are gonna be, because those are the
Yeah.
guys. Those are the guys we want to test ourselves with early.
And by all means, Tallahassee CC, they run a quality event too as well. I mean, a lot of people know about that event. I mean, there's so many quality events, especially with jamborees. We know about Corey Black's. There's the JUCO one down there. Scott Golden runs one down in Florida as well.
South Florida,
so there's some really good events. And like I said, what you're doing is not only you being accountable, now that the post grads are popping up on the scene, one of the things I look at the post grads and say, hey, you got to be accountable to get these kids exposure. You got to make sure they're in the right environment for them to succeed. And not only you're doing that, you're taking it to the next level, man. And like I said, hats off to you, man. I mean, number one, you from Alabama, so you represent my people. And I know my cousins are gonna be calling me. Oh, it's about time you got somebody from Alabama on here. So, but yeah, man, I mean, you're doing an excellent job. And then, like one of the listeners said previously, as they were watching and commented, 100% placement rate. To me, that's what it's all about. If I'm sending my child to you, that's the first thing I'm going to ask. What's your placement rate? Because we know some recruiters are very good at selling, so to speak, but you can't deny results. You just can't.
At the end of the day, I tell people all the time that it's not about me. It's about these kids and providing opportunities for them to be able to provide for their families down the future, just like somebody did for me. And come out of it without $100,000 worth of student debt doing it. So that's what it's all about. Providing these kids an opportunity, and that's what we're gonna continue to do.
Definitely, man. Man, you're doing a knockout job, man. Man, I don't want to keep you too long, man. I know you got the kids about to drive you crazy, man. But like I said, man, this definitely will not be the last time you're on the show, man. And anytime, well, I will see you live, period.
Okay.
I will definitely see you live, period. I will make sure we get together at On the Radar, definitely about that. And, man, I want to bring our AAU kids to one of your JUCO games, man.
Okay.
So they can understand how serious this is. Like, we like to take them to Division II, Division III games, and NAIA games and say, hey, there's good players on this level. We just haven't done it from a JUCO level yet. And you would be one of the ones I would love to bring them to, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely. This will be a good year because, I think we got a chance to be really good with what we got coming back, with all the guys we coming back. And we also had signed 5 Division I transfers this year. So, we got added that to a 24-2 team with 4 starters coming back. So we got a chance to be good.
Well,
so,
unload that clip, man. Goodness, you load that clip up. Goodness.
If you come to Shelton State, you'll definitely see some quality basketball.
Oh, well, I'm going to get to see you regardless. And, I'm going to see you at Corey Black's. I'll see you if you make it to Florida. I'm going to see you regardless, man. But, man, you're doing your thing, man. And, man, hats off to you, man. I mean, you run the quality program. You're placing kids. You're getting them. What you just said to me that stood out the most, even outside of getting their associates, you're giving them the opportunity to get certifications. And as an IT person, I'm big on certifications.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very big on that, man. And so, man, I can't say enough about your program, man. If anything has somebody to say something about Shelton State, I'll be like, man, he runs the A1 program, man.
I appreciate it.
You're doing it. So, Coach, I'm going to let you go on this one, man, but I appreciate you coming on the show and introducing everybody to Shelton State. So my people from Georgia and Florida and Mississippi, hey, Alabama's right in the middle. Check him out.
Oh, yeah.
You got a D1 JUCO right there Man, he gonna have some killers. And if you don't believe me, come to Corey Black's event in Atlanta. So he always push up to that. Or if you're down in Florida, take a look at him in Tallahassee if he makes it there as well. Again, the proof's in the pudding, and you'll see it yourself. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on the show again, man. I appreciate you, man, so much, man.
All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We'll be in touch later, man.
Definitely appreciate it.
All right, take care. Man, that was Coach Eatman, man. Really good guy, man. You know, what a lot of people don't understand about this, man, this coaching thing is not only a network and fraternity. There's some really good guys. You know, like he mentioned Coach Huff, man. I speak so much about Coach Huff, man, because man, he embraced me and introduced me to so many of these guys, JUCO, D2, D3, and man, they've been more than warm and receptive. Corey Black as well, another good brother, man. I mean, so many of these guys that, you know, once you get into this fraternity and you get to meet these people, you'll do anything for them, you know, whether it benefits you or not, it shouldn't matter, you know. And Coach Eatman is another one of those guys. Now, the next brother that's coming up, that I speak highly of him as well, another good guy. He's going to educate you guys because there's been some changes to the live periods for July. So parents, coaches, and kids, I need you guys to pay attention. We got Jarrell Strong coming up from Recruit Look. It's the same as On the Radar for my guys in the Southeast, but Jarrell's out in the Midwest, and he's doing his thing too, running a quality events out there with just as many coaches. He's getting results as well. What's up, Jarrell? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Can't complain, man. Just got back from an event, actually.
How'd it go?
Went well, man. We was out in Tulsa, Oklahoma this time. First time out there. So
okay.
Just getting playing with everybody out there.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned Tulsa. 16 years ago, when I first started consulting, because, you know, as I told you, I'm in Lexington right now working. Yep. My first project was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was my first project. And, you know, I got to meet all the people in the area, you know, some really good people. And there's some good talent in Tulsa as well.
A lot of talent out there in the Oklahoma area.
Yeah. Tulsa has Booker T. Washington. That's the you know, that's the big school. And then you have Jenks. Jenks is your bigger, you know, 7A school as well. So they do have some really good, you know, then you have Oral Roberts, you have Tulsa, you know, you got some good schools out there as well. But what we came to talk about tonight, man, I'm glad I had you on. I know it was last minute, and I appreciate you coming on, because when you text me, my mouth dropped this afternoon when you said there was a change into the live periods, man. We want to get into that a little bit more. Let's talk about July and what's going on, man.
So what I've been hearing from multiple people, and it's probably going to they're going to probably end up announcing it June 1st, but it's going to end up being 3 live periods in July. Okay. Which just is going to change everything for everybody, and probably going to be a lot harder because most people haven't budgeted for that. So yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens this July and what's going to happen with everybody. So
now, I know from that perspective, it's going to be tough, but I do know this. So for people that don't know, Jarrell and Sean from On the Radar have gotten together and they're going to hold an event. They're going to hold a live period event together in Atlanta. Man, when he first told me this last year, I was like a kid at the candy store, because what he brings, what Jarrell brings, and what Sean brings, man, you know what? I'll let you tell it, man, about what's going to happen at that live period.
It's going to be fun. So what we do is that we did this when was the pandemic was last year? Yeah. So the first time we did it was 2019. We had planned on doing it again last year, but we all know what happened with the pandemic. So first year we did it, it was about 400-500 colleges in the gym. Great facility, man. We was at McEachern. It was crazy. Yeah. This year we've added a lot more talent to our thing, and so the first 2 days we have our teams in the bracket play. So it's our finale. So for us at the 17U level, our top 16 will be playing in the bracket, and at the 15 and 16, our top 8 will be bracketed out. Everybody else will be in Sean's event. And then once our bracket gets done, we plan on being done with that on Friday. So Saturday and Sunday, all our top teams going to straight in Sean's event. So it's just going to be, we already told Sean, just, hey, this is our list of guys, top guys. These are our teams they're on. I got a couple Under Armour Rise and Under Armour teams that's going to come over for showcase games as well on Saturday and Sunday, and on Thursday. So we got a couple of those Under Armour guys that's going to pop up. So it's just going to be a lot of talent in the gym, man. It's going to be a lot of talent in the gym.
Yeah, and that's what usually happens, especially in Atlanta. So usually when there's a live period, of course, it's either going to be Under Armour, Three Stripes, or EYBL. And almost like clockwork, they'll play their EYBL, their Three Stripe, or their Under Armour, and then they'll come right to Sean's event and play in the showcase as well, which I think is a testament to both you all. And, the quality of product that you guys are putting out there, if you got those shoe teams coming to get some more exposure at your events, because we know these independent teams aren't no pushovers either.
They aren't, man. They aren't. There's a lot of great independent talent out here, man. I really wish guys would get out and go to more independent events. I know all the video guys want to go get the Mikey Williams and all those guys are real, but like, come show these other kids some love, man. They're definitely going to get better. There's a lot of guys that end up making it to the NBA that play on independent circles. So
exactly,
I think it's a lot of talent. It's getting more and more talent because kids are starting to learn. Like if I'm the 7th, 8th man on the UIBL or shoe circuit team, why can't I just go be the man on a regular independent team?
Great point.
Get the reps in. So a lot of kids are starting doing that. Like, well, I don't need to go sit on the bench. Why would I go sit on the bench when I can go get 30 minutes a night and get better playing against other good basketball players?
Now, one of the other things, aside from the events that you run, you also run a quality camp at the end of the year as well. Tell me some more about the camp.
We run a camp with Larry Hughes. If you don't know who that is, guy played in the NBA for a long time from the St. Louis area, and we ran it with his one of his close friends, Justin Tatum. Okay. And if you don't know that name, that's Jason Tatum's father.
Okay.
He's a really good high school basketball coach at CBC in the St. Louis area. So they run a camp. We let them do it. We try to bring in the top as many good kids as we can. Actually going to have a couple of guys probably be in the league in the next couple of years. Michael Foster was there. He just decided to do the G League. He was at the first year at camp. Guy that just won, Tyrese, that just won the Iverson College MVP, was at the first year of camp. So, Mac Etienne is at UCLA right now. We got a kid, Jack Malloy, that just signed at Yale. Aquan Smart was at Maryland, just transferred to FIU. Xavier Foster at Iowa State. So the list goes on and on and on of just quality guys. And this year, with how good our league is, if we just had our league guys in the camp, it'd be a good camp. But we don't. We got a couple other guys coming in. I got some surprises I'm working on right now. Some top 10 kids in 2022 and 23. So the camp this year is going to be special. I'm definitely looking forward to this year. So
okay. And how many campers? About 100 or so?
About 60, 65.
Okay.
Super limited. So we try to make sure we do just teams of 5 and just try to get like 8, 9 teams in and go from that point on. We try to be like about 7 teams or like 17, about 7 kids on every team. So 7 or 8, just so everybody gets playing time. Some guys get a break. Some kids might get injured, or don't want to play in the 5 because they don't want to risk getting hurt. So it's always fun. And sponsored by Crossover Culture, which is our sponsor for the league this year. Everybody gets a jersey, bottom, and some shoes from Crossover Culture, and real good, man.
Oh yeah, man. So you said this is for 22s and 23s this year, right?
22s, 23s, and 24s.
And 24s. Okay.
So we sometimes if we see a really good 24, we invite them. So it's really, I think we've had about 2 or 3 20 freshmen come in and play. Not too many have actually made it, but from time to time we get a good freshman and they come and they play a couple of kids. One kid from Southwest Illinois Jets called Ethan Brown. I think he's been to camp 3-4 times. I think he's one of the few, might be the only one so far that's been in camp every year we had it.
Okay.
So we got him. Not many other guys really been there. So this year I'm trying to think. I haven't really watched too many 15s this year just because the 22s are getting killed right now in the recruiting circuit. So I've been trying to do everything in my power to get those kids some looks and just to get some college coaches to watch them.
Okay. So tell me about your circuit. I know you guys have kicked off a couple. You played in April. And tell me about the cities you played in and tell me about some of the competition you had.
So we were in Omaha that second week in April. That's probably our best event every year. Everyone comes out. We got the team, Utah Salt Lake Rebels. We get the OSA Crusaders, whose facility we use out in Omaha. We just got a bunch of good. Beyond Ball came to it. Y&R from Chicago. All Arkansas Red, who has a kid named Kellel Ware, who's super talented kid you should watch out for in 2022. So it's always just a bunch of teams. Second weekend, we went to Chicago, another good event, bunch of Chicago teams. We had Team Rose come out, Mean Streets, Midwest Basketball Club, who had Gabe Cup. Everyone knows Gabe Cup is a kid that played with LeBron's son. So he was out there, and Gafford's following him and trying to play with him. Then after that weekend from Chicago went to Kansas City. Kansas City is always one of our better cities. Always just a great event. Had the Arkansas kid come out again. Had Casey Run GMC. So Casey Run GMC came out. They had this kid named Grady Dick committed to Kansas already. Got a kid named Mark Mitchell, who's top 20 in the country, probably at McDonald's this year. So, man, it's just been so much talent. Then last weekend, we took a weekend off and went to Tulsa. We went to Tulsa right after that. So just trying to get new places. We're trying to expand our horizons right now. I know next year we're trying to get to the West Coast, maybe get to the Denver area.
Okay.
We're trying to come east because I live on the East Coast now, so I'm trying to get out here a little bit. Maybe I'm not going to go too down south because we let Sean run it. Sean runs it. Let Sean have that. Go ahead, Sean. So we're going to let Sean control the south, so we might head a little west, head a little east, just hitting different cities all over the country, man, because there's talent everywhere. My goal is to get all the best independent teams in one area, one gym at all the times, man. That's what it's all about because I feel it's a lot of operators now when guys are so spread out. And I just want to try to get everything in one neutral area because there's so much good independent talent out, but they don't know what events to go to. And a lot of guys try to stay regional. They don't really have a budget to travel. Some guys don't, some guys do. So my goal is just to get every good non-shoe team into one area.
So, you just brought, that's a great point you just brought. What do you think? And I want your opinion on this. Like EYBL has a Peach Jam. I always thought it would be awesome to get the independents at some point, whether it be Recruit Look, On the Radar, Hoop Group, whoever, get them all together and play like a end of the year finale like that, like maybe the top 4 teams or whatever from each one, Pangos, and everybody get together and play something like that. That would be something like Peach Jam. What do you think about that?
I've been trying to do this since 2016. I had this idea, maybe before that, but I know I really tried to put it in place in 2016. So my idea, I'm including the shoe circuits. I don't care who it is. I want the top 4 shoe circuit teams. I want the top 4 Adidas, Under Armour, Nike, and then I'll get like 4 or 8 independents in. They have to do like a play-in tournament. I'll do a play-in tournament for the independents, and then we just do a 16-team bracket, double elimination.
Listen, I love that idea. Let me say that first, but I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
The problem is the shoe circuits. Like
exactly.
Exactly. I know what the problem is, but I don't know if the shoe circuits are going to keep doing this after the pandemic. I don't think they have a reason. I think they're going to keep investing in teams, but they're throwing a lot of money away at these leagues. I don't think people understand how much they throw money into these leagues. You got to get the facility, you got to get the referees, all that marketing. They have ridiculous. You go to these events, it looks like they're at the NBA arena. They got posters of Draymond and Nike. They got Draymond, AD, all these guys that play on their circuit with their team jerseys on. It's a lot of money. You got to pay guys to be at this. At some point, I feel like I don't know if this is it sustainable to your brand? Why not just sponsor the teams and let them play in whatever events they want to play in? I feel as though if we get to that point, is when we can actually get that event. But we don't know if that's going to happen. But I definitely want to do it with the independents. I'm going to start it.
Yeah, and I was going to say exactly what you're saying. We're on the same page. I think it would be baby steps. I think once that independent product gets to that point, because I could easily see, and I just always like to go after Peach Jam because they do an amazing job. But you have an independent Peach Jam, man, and whoever does it, whether it's all you guys come together or one person is fortunate enough to do it, that takes independence to another level. Now,
it doesn't even got to be a live period. Like you could do it and just live stream it all.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
You don't have to do it, all the college coaches. I get it because someone's got to make the money, but let's not make it about the money. Make it about the kids. Because I've actually did this idea at the 14U level when I lived in San Diego. When I worked with this company called Indy Hoots, we had the Indy World Championships.
Yeah.
So we did every year. We had the top 8 to, I think it was top 16, 14U teams come. Didn't matter where you played from. We had our rankings, and if you was in the top 16, you got invited. So we invited 16 teams, and it was always fun. We got Seattle Rotary. We had teams from Wisconsin. A lot of the guys, like I seen Paolo Banchero. He played in an event. What was that? 3-4 years ago. Didn't even make. He wasn't even on our all team list. He wasn't even, because he was like he wasn't that good yet. It was just that we had at the 4. I don't think people understand at the 14U level, when you're growing, getting bigger, like you're not that good. The best players at that level are going to be small guards.
Yep.
And guys don't get that. We had Scotty Barnes, didn't even make any of the all tournament lists. He had 3 guys on his team way better than him, and now he's going to be a lottery pick this year.
Exactly. And it's like you said, some of those bigger guys, it takes time to get
used
the
to that body
footwork and get everything else to grow into that body. You hit it right on the head. And I like what William Maddox is saying right there. Yes, that is true with AAU Nationals. But AAU Nationals was a little different because there wasn't as many teams. That's number one. And so, yes, that's true. And once
AAU, they didn't really know who was good and who wasn't. They just threw everybody in a bracket.
Exactly. You just had to battle it out. And yeah, you made a name for yourself. I remember long time ago. I came through when Grant Hill and Jamal Mashburn and all of them were, and Damon Bailey, those guys, Alan Henderson. You didn't know. I mean, of course, you knew about the Gauchos because of the name, but like teams like us coming out of Pittsburgh, you'd be like, who?
Yeah, you don't know everybody. I mean, it's easier to know everybody now because of social media, but like back then, like it was just like it was a crapshoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, let's just throw this team to play this team and let's hope it's a good one. And if you get some good ones, like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, you get knocked off. Or some of these bigger teams where you don't know, like you just said, you don't have social media, so you can see 5 or 6 of these games and say, okay, these guys are pretty good. Or we don't have all these guys that are doing like, so their buzz gets built before the next game. So it's just a different time. And unfortunately, AAU, I've always loved AAU, but grassroots has kind of overtaken AAU. So it takes a back seat. And that's no disrespect to AAU, because I always got a fond place in my heart for it.
Yeah, we still call it AAU, but no one really plays in any AAU events anymore.
Exactly.
It's just a name. At this point, it's just like, that's a name. No one's going to call it anything else. It's too much work to try to call it anything else at this point.
I mean, it's like we're paying homage to it, but it's like we've moved on to a bigger and better product. And, some people may disagree with that, but, AAU just isn't what it is. And you'll agree with that, Terrell. That's just.
Yeah, guys don't even go to AAU Nationals like they used to go to anymore. Like, I graduated high school in 2009. That was the last time AAU Nationals was even a thing.
Yeah.
The people was actually like trying to get to it. But now it's just like, hey, we get there, we don't.
Yeah, even if you do get there and you win, now you catching flack because you're like, oh, you won AAU, but you should have went independent, or you should have went shoe.
Should have went to another event.
Exactly.
Because I think all their events coincide with everybody else's events. I think AAU Nationals is like the 3rd week in July all the time. So like,
yeah, and especially this year with it being. So help me on the date. So it's 3 weekends in July. For people that don't know, there's 5 weekends in July this year. So that kind of threw me off as well. So you have July 8th.
That means y'all get somebody get 3 paychecks in August though. So somebody will be happy in July when they get 3 paychecks.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got July 8th through the 11th, 16th through the 18th, and 23rd through the 25th.
Yeah.
And then NBA Top 100 camp will be that weekend of the 30th. I don't know why they pushed that back into July, but that's now in July.
Okay. And when's your camp?
Our camp is August 13th and 14th in St. Louis at Larry Hughes' facility. He has his own facility out there, so we do it at his facility. And if he has his technology where you can see like where you took the shots from, how many shots you made, the arc on it. He has a bunch of technology in his facility that we love to use, so it's really cool.
Okay. So, I mean, for people that don't understand how this works, like July is usually the end of AAU or grassroots / AAU.
Yep.
And then August is usually your camp times. It's camp times, and before kids start this, they start their fall leagues for their high school teams. So, like you have, well, the NBA one is the top 100. It's going to be the end of July. You have Jarrell's, you have Recruit Looks camp. For your high academic kids, you have the All American camp. They have a couple sites as well.
It's a couple high academic camps all over the place.
Exactly. So, depending on what your angle is and your ability, to be honest with you, because a lot of kids can't get into your camp. It'd just be select, like you said, if it's going to be 65.
Camp is 65. We picked a 65. You join our league, you get guaranteed one player in your program, not age group, one guaranteed kid in your program gets invited to camp. So if you join the league, that's a benefit of joining the league, is why some teams do it. So they get an automatic invite to the camp, and then the rest of the kids are pretty much handpicked. I start making phone calls. My partner makes phone calls, and we see kids, and we're trying to get them. Like right now, I'm calling SOH. I'm trying to get that kid Hansel real bad to camp, bro.
Listen, well, the people that don't know, I'm coming to see your event next week up in Minnesota, but it was already a done deal. I'm coming to see the camp, the Larry Hughes camp. So I'm looking forward to both of them, not as just a, evaluator, but just as, be honest, as just a person that likes basketball. Whenever I start to see these kids that are internet sensations, I've been dying to see that kid play. And he can play.
Yeah, I've heard he's been down south just killing everybody.
Yes, because he's out of Florida.
So I know the coach. I'm really cool with SOH coach. Me and him been cool for a couple of years now. So they actually were coming to a couple of events before. They were going to go do our event in KC and do a couple of showcase games until Under Armour canceled their April stuff. So hopefully, I think I'll probably get them to a couple of showcase games. Actually, I think they're going to be in Atlanta at a showcase game, actually, to be honest with you. So
in July?
Yep. So we'll see him. I already talked to him.
Man, listen, we know what you guys are doing. First of all, that gym is going to be ultra packed. Number one,
it's going to be ridiculously packed with college coaches. I have all my college coaches already been hitting me up because most guys going to be recruiting 16U, but they're going to watch 17U games anyway.
Oh yeah,
most guys are done with 2022. It's like they get transfers; they're done. And most of their guys are coming back. Everybody got an extra year this year.
Yeah, exactly. And funny you mentioned that, and that's why I've had conversations with other people on this show. This year it's bad for 21s and even 22.
22. I mean, 22s ain't get let off the hook either, so it's bad for both.
Yeah, and for some of these kids that are not taking these offers that are coming to them and they're trying to wait, it's not the year for that.
You can wait. You can wait, and you're gonna be at home. You're gonna be at home university.
Yes, sir.
I've been honest with kids. I told them if you don't want to go D2 and try to treat it like a JUCO, or if you don't want to go JUCO, you feel like you're above JUCO, which no one's above. I played JUCO basketball, like it's really high level. It's a lot of guys that bounce back to at JUCO level as guys that didn't qualify as playing JUCO, or as guys that was just like they're a really good shooter, but they can't ball handle, so they're going here to get ball handling skills.
Yeah,
like it's just a lot of different things at that level. So I tell guys, either you're gonna have to go D2, go prep school, or go JUCO. D1 might not be in your world this year. Like you have to be honest with these kids. I feel as though the biggest problem we have nowadays in this industry is guys lie to these kids, and that's one thing I refuse to do. I'm gonna keep it honest with you. You might not like it, but you're gonna respect me at the end of the day, because hey, you gotta do what's best for you and your family. You might not be D1 this year. You might was a borderline kid from the get-go, and you being a borderline kid this year ain't gonna work for you. You're gonna have to go somewhere else.
So let me ask you that, because you preaching the gospel right now for those borderline kids right now that might be low major, high D2. What is your advice for kids like that?
Sign. If you got an offer, sign. If you got a D2 that wants you, sign. You can go to a D2 and then commit, then transfer out. Like a lot of guys, it's a lot of balance. It's a lot of guys this year alone that's D2 that's going to transfer D1 this year. Like just look it up. Like it's guys from Northern University, which is a good school. I think it's in North Dakota or South Dakota. Northwest Missouri State, who I don't know if people understand that D2 school. Northwest Missouri State is literally in a Final Four or championship game in the last 6 years at the D2 level. They are sending guys overseas every year.
Man, and that's why we end up talking. When we do end up talking, we end up talking for so long, man, because you're saying stuff that's already in my head, man. So part of this show, man, I bring on D3 and NAI coaches and be like, hey, listen, people, these guys are putting their players overseas. And you don't have to be at North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky to play professionally. You got people that are, there's people at Wash U that are going overseas. And I'm like, we have to get out of this. It's D1 or bust, or if it's not, they're not on TV per se. And it's already a crapshoot because only 3% or less go D1, and now you're cutting it down even more because it's not prime time. And man, there's so many kids that have this belief, and I'm like, man, listen, you guys are making a huge mistake. And I always bring this analogy that was brought up to me. Do you want to be high major and be on the bench and barely play? Do you want to be low major or mid major? Get a couple minutes and you're productive up until your senior year. Do you want to be D2 and be maybe all conference? Or do you want to be NAI and be an All-American? What works for you?
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'd always tell parents, take your kid to go watch. You got to live within 45 minutes of an hour of a D2, D3, NAI. Go watch them. Go watch them. I played at an NAI in Iowa called Waldorf. My first year there, we had a bounce back from North Carolina Central, a bounce back from another D1, and then a bounce back from a D2. They all came in. They knew they were going to start. They were athletic freaks playing it all up. We had like a 6'4", 280 guard. I don't think guys he was unguardable at that level because he's so wide and he can handle the ball and he's strong. He can fit. Guys just don't understand the high level of basketball at the NAI level.
Exactly.
I know a lot of NAIs that can compete with D1s and D2s.
Easily. Exactly. But why? Because we won't get to see because those D1s are smart. Be like, I'm not playing them.
They're not playing the good teams.
Yeah.
Northwest Missouri State cannot get a D1 schedule.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They will not, because that's bad on the D1 if they lose to them.
They've won a national championship the last 3 or 4 years. You don't want to play that team. You play that team, they're probably going to smack you.
Like Northwest. Even like your Winonas, the strong D2s.
Yeah, Winonas.
Yeah, don't nobody want none of that smoke. You know what I mean?
The high majors will play them, but the state schools in that state, they're not going to play them.
Yeah, because they're going to smack. Yeah, they're going to lose.
It's a good chance you're going to lose this game because they got a bunch of juniors and seniors, and they're ready to go.
And no one talks about that. Now, here's a good one, and I want your thoughts on this. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it depends on if they paying the kids, how much they're going to pay them, and then honestly, how much money are they actually trying to make? Because if you're not trying to make no money on it, it could work. But if they're trying to make money on it, it's going to be a problem.
I think it has to be the understanding, Jarrell, that you're not going to make money on this. It has to be a long-term investment.
Exactly. You have to be able to market these kids. You got to be able to play in good arenas. You got to get it out there to people and get fans in there to watch it. And you got to have the talent. That's just honestly, it's just having the talent. You got to have the kids.
But there's one other problem with this. I mean, yes, all of that is correct. The thing that scares me, you're giving a kid, 16 years old, 100 G's.
You're gonna blow that in a month.
Yeah.
Are you giving him financial? Are you giving him financial literacy? Are you giving him classes? What are we doing?
Yeah, I can't answer that.
What life skills are you giving them? How are we training them? Are we abusing them? Because that's what happens a lot of the time. Are we just taking advantage of these kids?
And that's what I was getting ready to say.
I'm gonna give you some money. Figure it out. No, man. I don't want to be that guy, but it's a lot of people in this industry that doesn't care about black kids because the high level kids most of the time are black, and it's a lot of people that don't look like us, that don't care about what's going on in our community, doesn't understand what's going on in our community, that's not taking care of our kids. We're teaching these kids. We're not teaching our kids life skills. Like, there's a lot of kids that go play high level D1 and don't make it to the NBA or don't make it in D1 level and figure out, like, who am I without basketball? Yeah. We're not like, I know a lot of kids that get depressed. I know a kid that I went to high school, I played against in high school from Chicago area that had an awful time in life for a while because he didn't know who he was off the basketball court. He went high major D1, didn't really pan out the way he thought he would, transferred to a mid-major, had a heart issue, depressed, couldn't find a guy. Like, what are we doing to help these kids? To me, at the end of the day, like, how are we really helping them become men at the end of the day and being productive human beings in the world?
Well, here's the thing, man, and that's a great point that you're bringing up. A lot of these kids have been told from the time they were 7 and 8 that, oh, you're all this, you're all that, you know, you're the guy, all the way up to 21, 22. And let's say it's an injury, or let's say, like you said, man, when you get to college, sometimes you get the shock of your life.
They don't care no more. They job on the line. Yeah. I got to pay if I don't do good, my family got to pick it up and move. Now, if I get a better job, cool. But, like, if I'm at a high major, my family might not have to leave for 30 years. I could be here for the rest of my life. But we start losing, my job on the line. So I think kids and parents got to look at, like, once you get to college, I don't care no more. Like, my life let's say livelihoods on the line.
So that leads to this, man. This is just my opinion. I think that every school should have a sports psychologist on staff. And you should have exit interviews when it's over for them. And when it's known that, okay, you're not going overseas, or you're hurt, or, you're going to try and latch on to a couple teams. And even if they don't latch on, I think it's their duty to go back and say, hey, we still want to have this exit interview to check on your well-being. But it's not the case. Like you said, it's business. Like, okay,
how can I help you? What can you do for you? What can you do for me? Not what can I do for you?
Now I'm going to be.
Not all coaches are like that.
That's true, and I'll take it a step further, because this is what I get it, but I don't like it. So yes, it is on that kid to take that next step, because now they're saying, oh, he's 21, he's 22, he should know what he want to do, this, that, and the third.
I want everybody that says that to think back at 21 years old, what were you doing in your life?
Man,
I can tell you right now, in 2011, I was not ready to make any life decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
You let 21-year-old me to make life decisions, I'd probably be broke right now and homeless. Like, can't let a 20-year-old to make a life decision.
That's a great point, man. And that's why I hate. I mean, to be honest, people don't. I'm going to say this. So people look at it from a standpoint, it's D1 or bust, but now you got to think of that second mentality, Jarrell. That second mentality is, if I don't go pro, I'm a failure. Nobody talks about that. Or how you're perceived. Yeah. Like, it's time to move on with life. But yeah, unfortunately, you have put everything, and your family has put everything into this. Sometimes, depending on the family, they have preached education, so you do have something to fall back on. And I don't even like that term, fall back on, because it never should have been fall back on in the first place. So I don't like that, but you're basically saying, when you say fall back, you're basically setting that kid up to say, well, we're trying to get you to the league, but if it don't work, here's something just in case.
Here's that 4-year degree for you.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that. You should be taking, like, Coach Eatman just brought a great, like, the way he runs his program, I love it, because he's saying, listen, you can get this welding certificate before you even come out of here. So whatever happens, you have this skill and you can get 70,000. We
need to have high schools, need to get trade schools again. I don't understand why we took that out of high schools in the first place.
Funding,
and it was because they don't want to have, like, most kids. Yeah, it was in black schools, and we don't have it in black schools no more. Like, it should be. We should have a bunch more mechanics and welders, and get these kids. A lot of kids don't want to go to college. If they do a trade in high school, they can go at 18. They can graduate and they got a trade. They got a skill now. They can go out there and do something with.
And so, I'm from Pittsburgh, and in Pittsburgh, in the city, we had a trade school called South Vocational Technical High School. And so everybody knew if, the women wanted to go learn how to do hair, that's where they was going. If you wanted like auto mechanic stuff, that's where you went. Yeah, unfortunately, the school's closed now. But what you're saying, yeah, it worked. And it worked very well. Very well.
Because I would took a trade in high school. I might not have wanted to do it long term, but I would have like, hey, why not? It's a skill. Like, why not have this skill? Why not learn how to fix a car just in case something go wrong in life? Mm-hmm. I ain't gotta pay a mechanic. I can fix the car myself.
Exactly. Yeah, man. We can have these conversations all day, but then the question becomes, we're talking about it, but what's going to be done about it is really the big question.
Right, and we got to start giving these kids more AAU coaches, high school coaches. We got to start giving them this opportunity, man, financial literacy and how to budget and how to do a lot of I just see Dr. Love at 804. Yeah, they're hiring marketing coaches now for the likeness thing. But colleges are willing to invest in what they want to invest in. That's my point. Like, what are you actually teaching these kids? You have the marketing for them. I know why you're doing that, because you get the high level kids. You teach this kid, hey, come in. You come here, we're going to help you make more money while you're here on campus, and then send you about your way.
But yes, you're true. But we all know there's going to be certain people that are going to be like, hey, you can make a lot of money. So if you make a lot of money, if I can get a percentage of that money, I'm going to help you. Because it's always something on the backside. You know what I mean? It's never going to end that way. Like, we're not going to have, there's going to be some kids that are savvy enough to do it themselves, but they're already setting up marketing firms to help these kids.
All these schools are starting to hire marketing firms already.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these guys are already ahead of this NIL. Like, they're way ahead of it.
Exactly, because that's going to be part of their recruiting pitch. We can get you 200.
That's why it's happening so fast, because guys are getting ready to get their recruiting pitch together.
Definitely. And
but I just wish we would do more to teach these kids how to be adults. Like, I know, like, no one's ready at 21, 22, 23 to really go out there and rule.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that, like, at 18, you can go to war, but you can't drink beer in America. You making guys sending kids over there to die, possibly, in another country, but they can't drink beer here. Like, at 18, you're letting people make life choices at 18 years old. Like, no one's ready to make life choices. That's why I'm like, you send kids to college, like, oh, you can make decisions now. Like, when they was 3 months ago in high school, you had a curfew. Y'all told them what they had to go, where they had to be at. They had to call you to come home. But now you send them to college, and it's like, hey, go make decisions. They're going to make bad decisions because they never make decisions.
That's true. Without their parents, per se.
Yeah, without their parents. Like, we need to start teaching these kids how to make decisions at a young age. I don't feel like we really train kids to, like, you get out of my house, now go make decisions. Now go be an adult.
Well, and there's one other thing that just touches me, that scares me about the Overtime Elite League. A kid at 16, we got to have something in place, whether it has a strong parent structure. What about those kids that are from single parent homes? What about those kids that are from homes where this money may pay for everything?
Yeah, that's not their money. That's their parents' money.
Exactly, man. And so
you put a lot of pressure on the 16-year-old kids, and now you got to be the breadwinner of this household.
Exactly.
Now you're paying all the bills. Do they not get the money if they don't perform? Now she worried, like, hey, if I don't do good this week, the check is still gonna clear. Are they gonna cut me? Am I gonna get cut next week? Like,
yeah, are they gonna do this like shoe teams? Like, yo, you're not cutting.
Exactly. Are they changing? Are they just changing? Yeah, exactly. Are they changing raw? Like, what's in these contracts? What does the contract look like? Like, is it a year-long contract? Is it a 6-month contract? Is it a day-by-day? Like, is it a performance-based contract? What's on this contract for these kids? Like, I feel as though they need to find a way it needs to be a year. It has to be a year. I feel like if it's not a year, don't sign it. You can't convince them to give you a year-long deal, don't sign the paperwork.
So you're saying it should be a year no matter
no matter what. How good or bad I am. You wanted me to come here anyway. So, like, why can't I get a year?
Okay.
If I don't do good this year, hey, send me home. But at least I know I have this money, this set amount of money for this year for my family. We can budget off that. You can't budget off. I can't budget off. I might have this $10,000 check, and next week that $10,000 check might not come next month. It's a problem.
That's a big problem.
A lot of cats don't know how to make $10,000 in a month. Like,
but let's take this a step further, Jarrell. So you got this 16-year-old, like you said, is the breadwinner, and let's say mama is running through that money, because at 16, you still are under. You're not an adult per se.
Yeah.
You're not an adult. So that check is really going to the family per
The
se,
guardian,
not
whoever the
him.
guardian
Yeah,
is.
the guardian. So he may not see a penny of that money. Like he's playing, and the parents may be running through that money. Oh, I take care of this. This is my money.
Paying all their bills, paying off all their debt, and
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I like the idea, but just at 16 and 17, you still in the house, bro. You're not going nowhere yet.
You're not.
And
you
even
on a road,
so,
you in this league, you on the road wherever you at. Cool, but like you still got to go home during the summertime whenever the league's not going on.
That's what I'm saying. That's the part that scares me about it. Like I look at this league and say, it has to be. And I struggle with even 17. I mean, 17 is a big push. 18, okay.
Definitely, guys are going to college anyway, so
yeah, so that's not going to work because they're trying to circumvent college. Basically, they're trying to circumvent college and say, "Hey, you're going to get paid." And for you guys that aren't G League yet, this is the opportunity to play that year before you go to the G League or whatever the case may be, right?
Yep. I mean, I don't even the G League. Like we'll see how that keeps working. I mean, Kuminga was talked about as being number 1 pick. I don't even think it's even a conversation whether it's going to be Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
Kuminga goes to college, you might be having a different conversation. Jalen Green went to college last year. Jalen Green could be number 1 pick right now. They win G League. Jalen Green, because if you go watch Jalen Green tape in that G League, that kid was scoring however he felt like scoring against NBA players. I know. So, like, I don't think guys understand. Like, if you watch Jalen Green, if Jalen Green does what he does at USC, UCLA, he's fine. He's the number 1 pick. But just because he went to play against NBA guys, you didn't see him as much, draft stock fell a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long this works. Because once guys start seeing guys going for being projected number 1, they ain't going 1 no more. Guys that keep going number 1 college guys, freshman college guys are going to go back to college.
Yes, I agree with
it's
what
a money
you're
decision.
saying.
Because Chet Holmgren is the reason he went to Gonzaga. So reason Chet Holmgren's going to Gonzaga. There's no pressure. I go here. I go block a couple shots. I average 10 points a game. I go number 1 no matter what. I just got to look good for 2 months.
At the end of the day, it comes down to, my understanding that Chet Holmgren's parents are in a position that they're not hurting per se.
You're not hurting. I know Chet's family. I know that AAU coach real well. I mean, could he used the money? Yeah, but like it was the decision is just like I go to Gonzaga, I go get better for a year, I go put weight on, and there's no pressure me playing against pros. It's not there's no pressure. It's just like I'm gonna succeed at this level. Why go make that jump already?
I guess it just depends, like you said, it depends on the situation, man.
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people that make that decision, it's a money decision. It's not I want the money right now. Let's do it. Or I just don't want to go to college. I just don't feel like going to a classroom for 8 months and wasting my time.
And that's true. And
like Ben Simmons. Did you watch the Ben Simmons documentary when he was at LSU?
No, I didn't.
He got in so much trouble. They said he was just not ever going to class. They said that second semester, I'm not going to class. I already passed. I'm eligible for the rest of the year. I'm not going to class. He would habitually get in trouble for not going to class and had to run. He got into it with the coach like, bro, I don't want to be here. And the second they didn't make second they get out the tournament, he passed all the stuff up. Gone. He passed all the stuff up and left.
Yeah, he was gone that night or the next day. Yeah,
the next day he packed up and left. I'm gone. I'm going to get NBA. I don't want to be here, and that's why I feel like they should make that. They should change the rule. If you want to go straight to the NBA, let them go straight to the NBA.
Because that's making a mockery of college basketball right there, man.
Don't make guys go to sit on the college campus for 8 months that don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't have to be there. You don't have to go here and sit here for 8 months.
You're right. You were so right. I like I like some of these comments right here. I mean, and it is true. Unfortunately,
the handlers already handlers are guardians. Some handlers are unfortunately guardians.
Yeah, definitely. That's
out of country. Those kids from outside the African kids, or kids from other countries.
100%. Yeah, it's almost like you belong to me as soon as and technically it is the truth because they control their visa, so they can't go nowhere without their saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you ain't moving nowhere without me.
Yeah. And they are almost peddling those kids like, yeah, you come here if you throw me 50,000 or 20,000 or 25.
Your prep crew can have them if you give me some money.
Yeah, exactly.
You get my AAU team some money, some jerseys, and some gear,
and
cover our travel.
Yep, exactly. And that's a topic for a whole nother show right there.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, man, I feel like overtime could work, but I feel so. What are we doing for these kids? How are we helping these kids? How actually? Because it's a family situation.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, we can't. I mean, like I said, when you have a situation where mom is working 2-3 jobs and there's 3-4 kids, and that star player is the oldest kid, I can't sit up here and say, no, man, you can't do this to take care of your family. I mean, that's hypocritical. You know what I mean? To say that you can't do that. So what? I think you still there? I think I may have lost him. But that's Jarrell Strong. Like I said, that's my guy. We can easily go on about that subject over and over. And that's not only a grassroots problem. You still there?
Yep.
Okay. And I was just saying that, at the end of the day, this isn't just, it's a grassroots problem, but it's a society problem as well. Because
I don't think people like the football side is way worse than basketball. I don't even want to think about what the football side looks like.
Yeah.
It's way more money over there.
Too.
It's 50,000 people sitting in them seats every weekend. Where do y'all think all that money go?
50,000. Not no SEC. That's about 80 to 100.
Exactly.
Big 50, 100.
Exactly. Down south. So many. Where do y'all think all that money going? Like, I don't even want to know what's going on that side of the world. Like, the basketball is crazy. I know football is crazy.
Hands down. But
they gotta go. They have to go to college. Those kids have to go to college, though. Fortunately, because you're playing a sport where if you can't go play that sport at 18.
Yeah. That's just
you can't go play NFL at 18. You're not. You're not strong enough yet. Now it's a special. Adrian Peterson maybe at 18 when it was ready, but it's a rare few. It's one every like 30 years that you could say, hey, he could probably go right now and play NFL. But it's one or two.
Yeah, that's just not even up for discussion because now you're talking about a kid getting hurt.
Getting smacked, getting hit by a 30-year-old man hitting an 18-year-old man, really, 18-year-old child really, really hard.
So, that's just, no.
The
only way I can see that working is the kicker.
Yeah.
The kicker can go out of high school. If he can knock down a 55 or 60-yard field goal, he can go. But outside of that, no. No, whether it's a running back, quarterback,
it's possible.
Yeah, I just don't see it. And, because your body, like you said, is changing so much over those years. You may be 5'10", 175 at 17. And by 21, you're 6'3", 210.
New ball game now.
Yeah, it's a different ball game. So, man, like I said, we could touch this over and over and over
we gotta start giving these family. It's just a family issue. Like that's what happened with a lot of these. That's why guys go broke when they get to NBA, NFL, whatever professional athlete. They get some money, and it's just like you got a bunch of people that went from living check to check to now it's 500,000 in the bank account. So now they feel like they go buy everything. No, you can't. That money will run away. That money's gonna go out at some point.
Yes,
you don't get paid in the offseason. You don't get paid in the offseason either, by the way, bro. There's no money coming in for whenever you're also whatever 3 or 4 months off season you have. There is no money coming in unless you're making for the guys like the 8th and 9th man off the bench. You might have made it to the league, but like you're not getting no endorsement deals. So you ain't getting no extra money.
Endorsement money,
exactly. So all your money is during the year. So are you investing? What are you doing with it? Because you just running through it. That offseason gonna be real rough for you.
You'd be like Ron Artest's rookie year.
Exactly. He didn't remember that. Yeah, that money you ain't making no money in summer, man.
Yeah.
That money ain't no checks coming. There's no check coming in. Once June hits and you ain't making them playoffs, them checks are done.
Gotcha. Hey man, real quick, I want people to follow up. So one other thing, I got a question for you. Are your tournaments live stream?
Yep, everything's gonna be on Ball. Everything's on Ball TV.
It's on Baller TV. Okay, so any of our people that are in the Southeast, they can watch Recruit Look on Baller TV, correct?
Yep. Anybody can watch it on Baller TV. We do our stats with this company called Legit Stats. They do our live stats for some of our top tier games. So we have them come out, do our top 2 courts. There's a benefit that I feel like I've been trying to get done for my team for a while, where we have literally like shots you took, turnovers, rebounds, assists, blocks, everything. They stat out everything, and we give them out when we put them online. Like, I love it because you can send out to the college coaches to see if some kid might have had 20, but he might have took 25 shots. So like, you had 20, but how many shots did you take to get to that 20? And now we have that.
And Legit Stats, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Legit Stats, that's live. That's almost live right after the game is over, right?
It's just like a college game. So you get the stat. We give stats at the halftime. We give stats right after the game was over with.
Yeah, that's what
they were at Sean event. I plugged in with Sean. That's how they got the Sean. They did Sean event in April.
Yeah, I know. That's almost like, man, this is well. I didn't know that you plugged, but man, that was legitimate. I mean, it was so fast. I was like, man, that was fast.
Yeah, so I plugged in with Sean. So yeah, man, I love him. I've been trying to work with this guy for a while. He's working with somebody else for a while. It's a black man from DC area, Marcellus, and I've been plugging him to everybody I know, just trying to get him out there, man.
Man, I might have to use him for the post grad stuff, man. We'll talk about that.
Yep, I'll give you that. I'll send you that contact, man.
Okay, yeah, wow, that's big time right there, man.
Because it's just a ball game. The college coach, all my AU coaches, like, yeah, I see this college coaches all the time. You can literally say the kid had 18 and 8 on 12 shots. Here it is.
Because now you see his efficiency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you see his efficiency. You see what he did. So that's what a lot of our guys are starting to get. That it's actually helping some of the kids get recruited. Honestly, on our league.
But I'm gonna tell you what bothers me is when you're watching and you'll hear the word come around and say, "Oh, he's a volume scorer." You know what that means? That means he's jacking up all the balls. Oh, he had 45. He shot 60 times.
No one wants that 45. He took almost double the shot to get the points.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And man, we even try and preach that to the kids. Like, listen, you don't have to throw 30 out there. Coaches are looking for efficiency, like you said. Now, like you're saying, this helps market them a whole lot better when coaches can see this. Because, sometimes you'll see stats and be like, man, I didn't even know he had 8, 9, 10 rebounds, or he had 16 and 12. Because a lot of times, people can be focused on that scorer per se, and you're not focused on that guy that's doing the dirty work per se.
Yeah, like I don't think you have to understand. Like when you get to college, you might have been a 20-point scorer in high school. That might not be your role when you get on that college campus.
Exactly.
You might be a 3-and-D guy. You might just be a guy out there for defense. You might just be a creator. Your role will change on campus depending on what they need you to do.
Man, what you just said right there, I'm going to cut that and clip it, and I'm going to put it on my page, because everybody just had, and I get it's a kid and everybody has dreams, but everybody can't be average 15, 20.
Everybody can't be the scorer in college, bro. Like it's only 40 minutes. It's only about 60 shots out there for everybody.
Exactly.
It's only so many possessions in the game.
And the stats don't lie. So now if you have these stats, you're like, bro, you shot 10 times, you made 3, or you made 2. You're not a 30-point scorer. We'll lose if you get 30.
Yeah.
All right.
You might get 30. It might look great for you. But we're going to lose by 20 if you get 30 tonight, because it's going to take you a while to get them shots off.
Well, you said it best. If the coach is allowing that, he won't be there long.
Yeah.
He won't be there long.
And no college coach is going to let you do that. So AAU coaches don't even want you to do that now because they're trying to brand themselves as getting college kids.
Oh, no, let's take it a little step further. Where shoot teams are requiring some of these shoot teams to win X amount of games.
You got to win 10 games, keep your contract.
Yeah.
8
so
games.
they're like, yeah, look, shoot teams is getting just as ruthless as anybody else. They're like, yo, man, we're going to have to let you go after this game. We got somebody coming in to replace
As an independent, you got an independent. The biggest thing you have is market yourself to keep kids from going to jump the shoot teams. Or hey, we get 4 to 5 kids in college every year. We get this kid to D1. We already got a relationship with D1 coaches. Because otherwise, you get that high level a kid that go from being 15, 16 to being under recruited, then he blows up. Every shoe company and team calls him. It's going into that 17U year.
I think exactly.
You got to find a way to keep that kid. And I always tell kids, why would you leave your 17U year? Like, you've been with this program for 2 years. They help you get better. Why go? Why chase it? You already got the offers. There's nothing this shoot team is going to help you do but get higher rate. I mean, if you want the rankings, but it shouldn't be about chasing rankings. It's about how can you get better? How you going to, what's your goal with this?
Agree. But you just hit it right on the head.
But you can't tell kids that because, like, Nike, if somebody can bring you shoes to your house, all this gear, at 16, 17, you go, hey, you going to feel like you the man. And why not? But you go on that shoe circuit and they're not telling you starting. You might be in some trouble. You might go from being a starter to now you getting spot minutes. You out there for 2-3 minutes. You make a mistake. You coming out now.
You coming out. Yeah. So it's a lot of pressure. Man, a lot of pressure. Oh, that's our other big thing. So in Georgia, we have a number of players going post-grad, and some of it is working out for the best. So Madison Durr going to Hargrave, that's a good look. I mean, we know Hargrave's reputation, and even AJ White going to Core 4. That's Core 4 is up and coming. So we have kids that Madison Durr is not even a fringe D1 player. In my mind, he is a D1 player. He may not be getting what he wants right now. And I think Hargrave will help him because of the weight training, because of the reputation, because of the exposure that they give. So he'll get more offers at Hargrave. And I think AJ White will as well, because there's going to be other D1 kids around him. So there'll be coaches in the gym to see those guys.
There's a lot of post grads popping up right now, man. Like
that's the scary part. About
so many popping up right now. Every time I go on Twitter, I see a new post grad. I'm like, bro, how y'all getting money to send these kids to school? That's the first thing. Like, how y'all gotta send these kids to school? Y'all know that, right? Like, the school's part of that situation, but they can't just go play basketball.
But see, now you're getting into a whole nother can of worms that people don't like to talk about. You are taking an extreme chance by going to a first-year post-grad. And by no means am I saying they can't do it, but it's just unproven.
Whatever you have, that might not transfer to college. So you might not be eligible when you get on campus now.
That's true. But even still, let's put that to the side for a quick minute. If I call Jarrell and say, Jarrell, I want your son. This is my first year. I need you to trust me. How far can that go?
Yeah, what am I trusting you on? Though, like, what ground do you have to stand on? That's what it is. Like, what is your?
That's my point exactly. My point exactly. And where a Hargrave or IMG or a Mount Verde or a TLAP or any of the NetSac schools or a Link Year or a Prolific Prep, those schools are established. And if I ask that same question, they can say, oh, over the past 7 years, we sent 65 kids to school. It's like when I talked to Coach Eatman, I didn't have to ask that. He said we got 100% placement rate last year. That's for me. And yeah, with us being more versed in the game, that's what matters. But yeah, man, I mean, come on.
Parents don't know everything. That's why there's so many different, all these AAU teams that shouldn't be around that are around, because parents, unfortunately, like some parents just like, hey, take my kid. You take my kid for the weekend, go play basketball. Have at it. Like, everybody's not doing their homework, not doing their research, or a lot. Some of these parents know nothing about basketball. It's a single mother that she's never played basketball. She works as accounting. She knows absolutely nothing about basketball.
Yeah, you're right.
But we have to start educating. Like, that's what it is. And she has a son that loves to play basketball, so she's gonna let him do it. But like, she doesn't know how to help him or hurt him. Hopefully, she has some good people around her. But if she doesn't, some people will take advantage of that, unfortunately.
But see, Jarrell, and that's why I like to bring post-grad coaches on the show, and ones that I would vouch for. You know what I mean? They'd be like, okay, this guy is pretty decent. And even with that, you still may have some that are slick talking, but that's going to come out in the long run too.
Sooner or later, you're going to, once they get to the school with you and we figure who you are, like, all right, bro, we see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're caught now.
Yeah. And you don't want to do that for Georgia because the Georgia community talks. You don't want to do that.
You don't do it anywhere because people will expose you on Twitter and social media so fast these days.
Yeah, that's true.
Once you're going to get exposed, you're done.
Very true.
You program out the window now. Now you lose a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly. And so now that's what a lot of these startup postgrads are doing. And it does make it attractive. They may have a successful AAU program, or they may have had a successful something like a coach from a high school that has moved over to postgrad. So yes, that does make it a tad more interesting to say, okay, they have some quality people on their team, but that still doesn't, you still don't have those results yet.
Yeah, you don't have the results. We don't know what your connections are. You might have the connections, you might not have the connections. What's the schedule going to look like? Who are you going to play?
Yeah, is it a regional schedule? Is it a national schedule? What's the facilities? I mean, are they staying in the house? Are they staying 5 in a room? Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, man.
You bought an apartment and now you just you got a 3-bedroom apartment for 8 kids. Like, now they in bunk beds or they all in twins. You ain't got no real privacy. Like, what's the living situation? What's the way they working out at?
Are they eating? Are they eating correctly? Yeah, I agree, man. So, I just look at this like it's going to, at some point, there's going to have to be a regulation of postgrads.
Yeah, at some point.
At some point, and there has to be some type of regulatory committee that comes up and says, hey, show me your books. Show me you're legitimate. Show me you have the proper facilities. As far as whether you play a regional or national,
it don't matter where you play. Are you really helping these kids? Are they going to class? Are they living adequately?
Yes.
Are y'all not taking money home? Like,
yeah, I'm not going to fight them on the schedule per se, but everything else you said, because yes, there are some that play almost exclusively JUCOs. Now, I'm not going to say that works all the time, but there are some that get away with that. But, as we know, just like AAU, you got to get in them top tournaments. You got to go play in IMG showcase. You got to go play in the NetSac showcases. And, but if you don't have the money to do that, then it becomes, okay, how are you putting these kids in school? But a parent has to ask that. And they don't know that.
You got to get them education.
But they don't know to ask that. You know what I mean? They don't have somebody in their corner. And that's why I've been having the show, and bringing postgrads on to even talk about this, to even talk about their placement rate, to even talk about their facilities, to talk about the educational program, whether they have a dual program with a 4-year school or a community college. Like, so you can get all that and you can rewind this show and look at it, right? But I can't say that, man. I mean, I can't speak for every single parent, because a lot of times, well, this is what my baby wanted, so I'm just going to support him. It's a bad investment when you say that.
Yeah, he's 17, 18. He's just trying to go hoop.
Exactly.
He don't care about none of the logistics. He just want to go hoop.
Exactly.
Like, can I go hoop? Like, y'all let me hoop for another year?
Yeah. I mean, basically, that's what you're saying. And yes, 9 times out of 10, it's because he needs to get better. Sure. But, at the end of the day, man, a lot of these kids, they need guidance. Let's just say that. And there's not enough well-versed
in the community again and stop worrying about just our kids. Worry about all these kids, man. Like, we got to help all these kids out. They don't know no better.
Yeah.
Some of them do, but everybody don't know no better. Some of these kids they just want to hoop. They don't care how they get to hoop. They just want to go hoop.
Yeah, but you can only give the proper advice. It's on the parent to absorb that advice and make that decision for the best well-being of their child, correct?
Yep.
So once you give the advice, and if they decide to go 360 from what you're doing, nothing really to talk about, right? I mean, you did what you're supposed to do.
That's all we can ever do in life, is just give. Hey, I can present you the here go the information. Do it as you please. I can't make you make a decision.
Exactly.
You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink it.
You're right.
I can put you in the right spot every time, but I can't make you do nothing you don't want to do.
Definitely. Hey man, like I said, I appreciate you, man. For my people in Minnesota, I will be up there next week to support Jarrell in his event. I'm looking forward to it because I haven't been to Minnesota since my last contract 4 years ago when I was at the Mayo Clinic. So looking forward to going up there and seeing. Actually, I've never seen any players from Minnesota per se, or see their whole hoop scene and how it looks. So I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be fun, man. You'll see Grassroots Sizzle. They'll be out there, so they're the main attraction at the event. So
okay,
they got a really good 17U. So it's gonna be some quality games, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying to think. Last time I was in Minnesota. Oh well, I ate most of the time at Mall of America. So
yeah, that's everybody's spot. Mall S, the biggest mall. Is so big, is you can find 1,000 things in there to do.
Exactly. But man, we'll definitely catch up because we do have a couple things to talk about off air. Man, I appreciate you, man. You've been one of my biggest supporters, man. I can't thank you enough, man.
No problem, man. Definitely, man.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll talk to you later, and actually, well, I'll see you next week, but I'll also see you I'll see you down here in July.
Yeah, in July. Looking forward to that.
Everybody get ready. Atlanta, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So, man, you take care, man, and we'll be talking again soon, man.
Oh, man, you too.
All right. That's Jarrell Strong, man. Good guy, man. Definitely good guy. Coach, what's going on?
Hey, well, how are you doing?
I'm good. I was just making sure we got you out of that traffic, so we were just kind of just shooting the breeze so we can get you on here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't know what, I know it's like thunderstorming out here, but people don't know how to drive in the rain. I'm like, people, just get moving already. But yeah, I'm glad you waited on me. I actually have my best friend is from Minnesota. So I've been there and I've played with a girl from Minnesota. Very, very disciplined, very fundamental. Like I love it. She was my favorite point guard to play with in college.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and introduce you to our audience out here. Audience, this is Coach Bernita Jackson. And like I said, very up and coming because she just got the job at Texas Wesleyan. That has been a month?
Yes, 3 weeks so far.
3 weeks. Yeah, and congratulations, first of all. Definitely congratulations. Now, Texas Wesleyan, what city is that in Texas?
We're in Fort Worth.
Oh, man, that's attractive, right? Look, that's a recruiting pitch right there.
That's right, Funky Town, yeah.
Man, stop playing. Okay. So I know you guys are D3, right?
We're NAIA.
Oh, NAIA, okay. Mm-hmm. So with you being NAIA, that means you do give out a little bit of money, correct?
Exactly. It's like a salary cap. So we kind of distribute it based on who we feel like will be our best players. Mm-hmm.
Now, we're getting ready to touch something with that being said. So I want people to understand, and I need you to co-sign on this. Recruit looks a lot more attractive when they can get academic money in your eyes, correct?
Absolutely. At our school, you can stack both academic and athletic. Some schools will make you choose one or the other. But yeah, if they've got a 3.5 GPA, like you got me at attention right there. So yes, absolutely. Academics is huge for us. So yes.
So now with that 3.5, what does that get you at Texas Wesleyan academic wise?
Sure. So at our school, that'll get you at least $16,000 in academic money alone. And then I can stack athletic money on top of that, which is awesome. And then if they've got a little bit north of that, they can get 17,000. Now, incoming freshmen can get about 19,500 for that kind of GPA. So definitely.
So, okay. So, and I always like to harp on this. I'm big on this part right here. So if you get 19.5, let's just say you get 6. I get 6 from you, right? Which is kind of fair, especially on the NAI budget. So that gives me 25. I'm Pell eligible, so I get the 6,500.
Right.
So that takes me to 30. How much does it cost to go to Texas Wesleyan?
Our school is pretty expensive. It's all in with dorms and everything. It's probably about 46,000. So our school is pretty expensive. So you for sure want to get academic money, and then we might be able to give somebody that we feel really good about 10 grand in a room grant. And with the room grant, they get, meal plans. So that cuts down a lot of your costs.
So, okay. So does that room grant come out of your budget, or is that school related?
No, that comes out of our budget. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so a room grant, that's more than 5 then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So are there a certain number of room grants you give, or is it just budget related?
It's budget related. So each sport gets a certain amount. The NAIA only allows us to give 8, full scholarships, if you will. And our school is fully funded. So we get 8 full scholarships that we could give. Now, we could go all in on 8 and then take some walk-ons. Or we got to break that money up, to get some more players. So, yeah. It's a huge part of it is definitely getting that academic money. And then, they have to be a kid that can come in and make a difference for us right away.
Definitely.
For us to give, say 20,000 on top of whatever academic money they getting. So
are you taking, do you take JUCO players as well?
Absolutely. That's where I started coaching back in 2008, was on the junior college level, and love JUCO kids. We'll always recruit JUCO kids. I've actually signed a couple, and then there's a few of them that they're kind of holding out, trying to see if they're going to go D1. And I keep trying to explain to them like, hey, they're kind of done this year. They're kind of calling on 22s and 23s right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, how do you tell a kid don't chase your dream, even though the process is beyond the timeline? So that's a hard conversation to have, because a lot of them go JUCO thinking for sure I'm going D1. And in the normal world, you probably would. But with COVID and that transfer portal, it threw everything off.
Now, let me stop you right there. What people do not understand, the transfer portal on the women's side is serious too.
Yes, it is.
See, everybody has this misconception that it's only the men. Oh, no. There are plenty of women in the portal as well.
Absolutely.
Plenty. And, like you said, a lot of times people are having these misconceptions that, hey, I'm just going to go JUCO for a year. I'm a qualifier. Right. When this all blows over, I'm going to be D1 next year. Because recruiting on the women's side, I had to learn this, is completely different than on the men's side. You guys recruit so early. I mean, like 8th, 9th grade, they're like, hey, we want you.
Absolutely.
And you better be something nice. If you're getting that scholarship as a 2021, and just from what I've seen, usually a lot of times it's the bigs.
Yes.
Just to be honest with you, the guards is already locked up by 10th grade. They're already locked up.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, they're already locked up. But, like you said, there's a big that's still developing, and she's starting to turn the corner. Oh, yeah, she's going to get in. Now she's 6'3". Oh, yeah. We like it. Come here. Definitely. So, and that's what I've learned on the women's side. Like, boy, if you they'll take a power forward. They'll take a wing, and you better be athletic, very athletic. But that shooting guard, combo guard, point guard, on the women's side, it's gotten to the point where they're a dime a dozen now.
That's it. That's it. And unfortunately, it wasn't like this, just a couple years ago. But, I honestly think a lot of it is they're just misinformed. And as a coach or a parent, you have got to sit down with these kiddos and say, like, hey, sweetheart, I know you want to go D1, but we don't want to pay for you to go to school. So any opportunity at this point, we're going to thoroughly, take seriously. Because if they're waiting around till June and July, I'm like, what D1s are still, picking up kids that they haven't already evaluated or know about? If they're coming from another D1, they're bringing their recruits with them. And everybody is either getting kids out the transfer portal, or this year with that COVID year, a lot of people are just going back to their same school. So scholarships didn't open up like normal. And they have to be mindful that the recruiting landscape changed drastically this past year. And so it's not that you can't play D1, it's just scholarships didn't open up like normal. And there's going to be a lot of D1 players that, hopefully fall into my lap, to be honest. But
that's true. That's true.
They'll have to go D2, D3, NAIA, and they have to be okay with that.
You're missing one that's starting to emerge. And it's surprising me. You're starting to see postgrads from women pop up now.
Yes. How
do you feel about that?
I want a couple of myself, Come on to Texas Wesleyan. Yeah, and especially once they once they graduate and transfer, a lot, like we've gotten a couple of calls from some D1 kids that were like, I just want to play my last year. I've been sitting on the bench for years. I got my degree. I just want to play. I'm like, well, come on home.
Come on. I don't blame you. So, and just to ask this out of curiosity, and I want everybody to hear this, you're getting D1 calls, you're getting D2 calls, you're getting other NAI calls, you're getting JUCO calls. And that makes it hard to really recruit a high school kid right now, right?
Right, absolutely. The high school kid has to be really good.
Exceptional, yes.
Yeah, I've had to tell a few high school kids, and I refer them to some JUCOs that I know, like, I think you need to go JUCO for a couple years, at least 1 year, just because I'd rather take a kid, that's got some college experience, that I've seen play, that I've got film on, that, understands pace, timing, tempo, shot clock, time management at this level, all of that stuff. So yeah, most definitely high school kids are tough to come by, unless they're just, outstanding. And you're like, okay, I got to take 1 or 2 of them. But
man, that's okay. But now I'm going to go from your perspective. But at some point, you got to have 1 or 2 or 3 of them, right?
You do. You don't want all. To me, when I coached JUCO, you were recruiting, a new team pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And what was attractive about coaching at Texas Wesleyan is you do get 4 years to see those kids develop. Yeah. But just being a competitor, how freshmen are, and you know how they come in, and it's, they got the little stars in their eyes. They first time smell of freedom. And so it's kind of like, I'll take a risk on a few of them. But so we have 3 kids that are graduating this week coming up, and they'll be working on their master's degree. So I've already told them, y'all are going to be mentoring the little freshmen. Each one of y'all going to have a little buddy you got to watch out for, because you know how freshmen are. They just be doing stuff. They don't think. And so we're just trying to build a lot of support around them so that they are successful. But yeah, ideally freshmen can come in and, really just help you change the culture, and you get to see them grow over 4 years, maybe 5, which is, to me, ideal, but it's got to be the right freshman to take that chance on.
Now, okay, so just stepping away from the athletic side of it, what does Texas Wesleyan offer academic-wise? What do they specialize in?
Yeah, so we have a really good undergrad biology program for students who want to major in any type of those pre-med. Graduate programs want to go to some type of med school, or We have a graduate program of anesthesiology, so they can get all their undergrad through us, and then they can do their graduate program of anesthesiology. And we also have a lot of partnerships with med schools in the area that they are guaranteed to get into if they, you know, meet our requirements here. So Texas Wesleyan is definitely a place for those future doctors and people who want to major in anything along those lines. But we have like your traditional psychology degrees and business. We have a great business management program, undergrad and MBA program too. So the really nice thing about it is there is a grad degree that accompanies a lot of our undergrad degrees. And so the students not only get to come in and get a great degree, but it's great for networking, very well connected throughout Fort Worth. And so getting a job after you graduate from here is definitely something that we work with our students going into their senior year. Hey, let's get you ready for the workforce. Let's get you work experience. We don't want you just leaving with a piece of paper. So, and then all of, you know, just your typical undergrad degrees, but for sure the business and then biology, those are the ones that jump out the most to me. Psychology is a popular one in this day and age. A lot of people want psychology, but pretty much that's what we're known for.
Okay. I have two more questions on the academic side. And it's partially athletic as well. Once I finish my 4 years, can I come to Texas Wesleyan as a former player and be a grad assistant on the coaching staff?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, absolutely. We actually have 2 students. She wants to major in marketing. So she just graduated this past year, and I'm going to work with her on getting her some marketing experience. So she'll kind of help me with just getting like sponsorships and different events that we'll run, all our camps and stuff like that. She's got a marketing degree. So I told her, you know, we don't want you to just leave and jump out in the world. It's going to be entry level, whatever you do. But if we can get you some experience doing, you know, those type of marketing, it's sports marketing, but it's still applicable to any area you go to, in my opinion. So
definitely. The next question becomes, and I know this is your first year, so this may be hard for you to answer, but previously, what is the placement rate for your student athletes coming out, the graduates? Is it 80%, 70%, or do you have those numbers yet for the previous? Because I know you can't answer that yet, per se.
And placement, you're talking about like in employment?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what their numbers are yet, but it's definitely something that I've been already talking to our seniors about. We got 3 graduating, one that just graduated. And so I'm working with them because the former coach retired. He's also working with them. So we're kind of partnering together to kind of help those kids that just graduated. I don't want them to just go to school and get a degree. Like, they need to get work experience and start kind of getting into their career now so that they can move up the ladder a little bit. But I don't have our previous numbers, but I know I'm working with our current kids.
So let me ask this. So do you guys have sponsorships with maybe some of your, I said sponsorships, excuse me. Do you have internships with some of your alumni, per se, for your kids?
And that, I don't know if we do, but that's one of the things that I'm working on pursuing. I know Texas Wesleyan is well connected and well known in the Fort Worth area. A lot of our alumni are like on the chamber in Fort Worth or at TCU, which is, you know, down the street from us. So it's one of those things where it's just a matter of me meeting the right people that know these people. And then getting our kiddos connected, because ideally that would be the route to kind of help them get internships with them.
Exactly. Now, back to sports again. So you said TCU is down the street. Do you plan to play them like in exhibitions?
Oh, I would love to. I would love to play TCU. This year we have, we'll go down to Houston Baptist. So, you know, they're in the Southland, and then Midwestern State will play them.
That's D2, right?
We'll play them for sure next season. I want to get, you know, TCU on somebody, bigger on the schedule.
TCU, SMU, somebody like that. Yeah. Okay. Now, your conference. Tell me more about your conference, because I'm not familiar with your conference in the NAIA, because I know Texas doesn't have that many NAIA schools.
Right. Well, we have two different conferences in Texas. We have the Sooner Athletic Conference, and I say in Texas, we have schools from Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay.
So like Langston, Wayland Baptist. You can go down the list of all of the schools, but we're stretched out between Texas, Oklahoma, and then we've even got another conference in the state called the Red River Conference. So Red River is here as well. But they say the Sooner Athletic Conference is the best conference in the nation. I will find out here pretty soon.
Okay. So you saying it's the best NAIA conference?
That's what they say. They say.
Okay, we're going to see. We're going to definitely see. Actually, there's some great NAIA conferences, especially in the Midwest, and especially in that Indiana area, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania. I forgot the name of the conference. That's a good one. There's some in the Midwest as well that are good, but I wouldn't doubt to say, because Texas has good athletes, period. So that's not a stretch to say that conference isn't good. What are you looking for in your first year? I know everybody wants to win a conference. I know that. Yeah. But what are you looking for from your student athletes for this year? What is the goals that you have for them for this year?
I would say the biggest thing I would like to see them be is just way more competitive. So when I watched them play, I sat down on Synergy and watched every single game they played last year. And I was like, compete, like play hard. And I understand with COVID, people couldn't come and watch games. And so that can kind of change maybe the dynamic for the average person. I don't know. I'm an ultra competitor. Me personally,
Same here.
I don't care. We are playing Uno. I don't care what's going on. Like, I'm trying to win. And so if they don't do nothing else but take on my competitive spirit, I will be happy about that, because at the end of the day, who wants to come and watch you play basketball when you don't even look, invested, if you will. You look, disinterested. And so we're going to open the games back up to fans and families. And that's one of the things I keep telling the girls, like, if you're not passionate about it, nobody else is going to be passionate about what you say you love. And so I would like to see them be more competitive. Obviously, I want to win, but I would like to see that spark of competitiveness in every game, every practice, everything we do. Now, a huge part of that is recruiting. And so I've been recruiting competitive kids. And if you look disinterested, I'm moving on to the next kid. So I feel like you have to recruit winners, you have to recruit competitors, but if you get enough of them, the ones maybe that aren't as competitive, at some point they're going to have to stand up to the standard. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's a character thing. And I agree with you saying that's a character thing that you're looking for. And, one of the things, I'm glad you just mentioned that, because I try and get a lot of kids to understand, when you make that call, even if you're not interested, you never know. And I understand you just got this job, but I try and tell people what happens in 3 years down the line. You done won 3 conference championships. You done went to the dance a couple times.
Right.
And say you get that D2 job or whatever, and your paths may cross again. You're not going to forget you're not going to forget that recruit, like, oh, she just big time me, but now that she needs me because she's a transfer, now she's, a totally different person. Of course, that's totally up to you how you handle that. But, those things stand out and they're not forgotten. And you just as much wouldn't forget it. You'd be like, oh, Coach, I really appreciate you giving me this offer. Right now I got a couple more in the pot that I'm looking at. And I know you have a time deadline, but I want to let you know that I'm appreciative of the offer. That goes such a long way.
Absolutely.
Such a long way. But some of these kids are like, I ain't got time for that. Or I'm just going to leave her on, as they say, leave her on unread. I'm like, whew. As you can see, this starting to change colors.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's why. That's why when you see kids start to act like that, I just cringe sometimes. Like, do you understand what you're doing? Coach, I'm just not interested. Okay, that's fine. There's a way you handle business. You are getting older now.
Yeah.
You just don't, I'm not going to talk to them. Because you know how crazy you look trying to talk to them 2 years from now when you don't have anything, or because you made a mistake.
Right. I actually just had a few conversations with some coaches because we had brought a couple kids on the visit. I was telling you, JUCO kids, they're D1 hopefuls. And I mean, I played D1. I went JUCO and I played D1. I get it. You know, I understand it. But I also know that before my sophomore year started, I had tons of offers on the table. And so it was a different situation. But it's a difference between somebody being interested, you shopping around, and you actually being on people's radar. I know the process because I went through it. And then I've coached so long. I've coached at the Division I level. Yeah, we recruited, middle school. We do get after it early. But
exactly.
I had a conversation with a coach earlier today about one of his players that he was just, he was like, you got to sign this kid. But I was like, I'm calling her. She gave me a visit. I appreciate that, But it's one of those things where I'm giving you an offer and then you say, well, thank you, I appreciate it, but I want to keep my options open. I said, well, who else has offered you?
Oh, nobody.
Well, baby, that's not an option then. You need to discern between an offer and you just out here shopping around. Because people who shop around, I get hundreds of emails every day. And I just started a few weeks ago from kids all over the world shopping around. And so you need to be mindful that once you get an offer, that's a whole different level. That's not interest. That's not just a visit. Like, that's an actual offer. And so I don't know if the dialogue should be, I'm keeping my options open when you don't really have options. But it's different when they do have a few offers. If they had other offers, I'm like, okay, a little competition. I like it.
This is great. This is great. So before you came on, I had Jarrell on, who's a tournament director in the Midwest, and we were talking about this because you just touched a great point. Like, you asked, okay, well, who's looking? Okay, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty because you're saying, well, nobody. Okay, that's a problem, number one. Number two, okay, that generally tells me you are actively contacting coaches.
Yeah.
And they're not responding back, or they'll say, send me your tape and I'll get back with you. And they normally don't.
They don't, right.
As one of the good sayings in this world, in the recruiting world goes, go where they love you.
That's it.
Go where they love you. Go where they're giving you attention and showing that you are a priority. You're trying to go somewhere where they're like, well, we can give you a preferred walk-on.
That's it. And
you talking about, well, I'm going to take that over this? Are you serious?
And that's not, that's even, I was talking to, I coach a younger team too, with 23s and 24s on there. And I was talking to them, kind of getting in their head early about, it's not about the level, it's about the fit. I had high major offers. I decided to go mid-major Division I because I wanted to play. And I know myself. If I'm not playing, I'm going to be a nightmare for everybody in sight. You brought me here to practice, baby. I thought I was coming to play. So I'm going to be a nightmare. And so when you know that about yourself, then you need to go to the right fit, the right level. So I did a lot of research on the conference. I feel like I could dominate the Southland Conference, and I did. And I went to that school. We made history. We hung a banner. It's one of those things where, it's not high major players at the mid-major level, and there's mid-major players at that high major.
Yes.
If we're going to be honest about it. Yes. But I was telling those kids at a young age, you got to go where it's a good fit for you. Don't get stuck on the name. That's why the transfer portal is out of control, because they're listening to too many people trying to force them over here because it looks good for their, AAU program or whatever else, whatever clout that they're trying to ride on. And at the end of the day, you're the one that got to go there. You got to run on the baseline. You got to meet, with the coaches and the study hall and all of that. So you have to be comfortable with the decision. But a lot of them are like, I appreciate you saying that. Nobody really talks to us about that. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to see y'all transferring 4 years in college.
But you know what? This is going so well. I'm going to take a clip of what you just said, and I'm going to post it on my page because you said something that stands out so much. You actually took the time to do the research.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand how important that is. Like some of these kids are going to schools that don't even have their major and they don't care. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Oh, I'll just go here 4 years and then I'll try and latch on to grad school.
Yeah, what a waste of time. Yeah.
Exactly. So just the small, it's evident you did a lot of research and you're supposed to because this is your future. But so many kids are just hanging on what recruiters are telling them. And I'm not saying recruiters are dishonest, but it may not match with what you're looking for.
They are. They are dishonest.
I don't want to touch that. I didn't want to touch that. All I'm saying is do your research at least to see if it matches up with what the recruiter says. Can we be fair on that?
No, I agree. Yeah. Even if I'm calling a kid at Texas Wesleyan or any school I've been at and you haven't done any research, that's one of my first questions. So tell me what you know about Texas Wesleyan just to see how invested they are. Because if they haven't done any research on me, on the program, on nothing else, and I'm not talking about the first conversation. The first conversation is the introduction, but after that, I'm gonna ask, just to see how serious you are. Because if you don't at least take the time to, research the school that you're going on a visit to or that, you're actively talking to, I'm concerned about kind of your, IQ level here because stuff like that matters.
I agree, but I disagree because this is where you come in and you are so important. I think that what you're saying makes 100% sense. I'm not doubting that. A lot of times, a lot of kids don't get really interested until they get on campus.
Sure, I agree. Especially this generation. I think they have to see it, and I think they have to be hands-on with it and touch it. I agree with that.
So I agree with what you're saying 100%, and your logic matches mine. Like, okay, you're taking these calls and you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who you're talking to. Yeah, coach. Yeah.
I could be anybody.
Yeah, you can be anybody. You can be like, hey, give me $20 when I get it. Okay, coach, sure.
Yeah.
No problem. Your logic is like, okay, as a parent, you say, hey, tell me more about the school. And this generation, I don't know.
Yeah.
They want me to come. I'm going to come check it out and see what it looks like. Now, a lot of times they get enthralled with what's on campus. And a lot of times that may not have nothing to do with the school. Oh, we went to a party. I had a good time. Yeah. Coach, how you doing? Yeah, I had a great time. I'm trying to come again. So now your concern jumps like, are you really here for the visit or are you here for the school?
There we go.
But I'm going to be honest. If I was a recruiting coordinator, I would use that to my advantage too. I'm being honest. It's my job. I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
So, but that's when the parent, at that age, the parents are so important to say, okay, son, daughter, have you actually paid attention how much this coach wants you? Well, she calls a couple times a week. Okay. The place you really want to go, how many times they call? None. They may respond to an email when I send them something, son or daughter, that is a canned email that they just sent you.
Right.
That's not even interest. That is, okay, thanks for sending us something. Take a look at our media guide or something like that. No, you are taking the actual time of calling this person 2-3 times a week, 2 or 3 texts, hey, great game last week. I saw you may want to work on this. That is somebody, like you said, that is invested in you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I was thinking about while you were talking is also too, like, keeping in mind, yes, the people that's calling and keeping up on you, and they're not just invested in kind of where you're at, they're kind of looking at how you fit into, you know, their program. And so they're making sure that, you know, what they're seeing one night is what they're seeing, you know, multiple nights. So it's definitely, for me, I would say, like, I wanted to play for a coach that could see me playing for them. And so I use that when I recruited kids too. Like, I would talk to them about, you know, when you come here, this is what kind of stuff we're going to do. It's a lot like what you're doing in high school. So I talk to them about the transition as well, because I want them to know, like, it is going to be a transition, but I do expect you, you know, to come in and play and earn some minutes. So I think that's important too. Like, are they talking to you about playing? Like, are they talking to you about kind of their system, their style of play, and how you fit into it? I think those discussions are important, because if they, you know, like to run a motion offense and you're not used to that, motion offenses are hard to learn.
Yes, they are.
So if that's not something you're used to, then that's going to be a tough transition for you. So think about that kind of stuff. But then go watch a game. Go watch a D2 game, a NAIA, a D3. Go watch games, because a lot of kids, they'll say, oh, I don't want to go JUCO, or I don't want to go NAIA, but
until they see the competition.
Yeah. Go watch a game.
So 2 questions off of what you just said. First question, how important is a kid knowing the shell drill coming into your system?
Well, I'm a defensive minded coach, so that's probably one of my top 2 or 3 things. My top thing I'm going to look for is, are they in shape? Like, can they handle conditioning?
That's all, you know, it's sad to say that's almost the expectation, but you'd be surprised sometimes.
You'd be surprised. These kids are out of shape.
You're right.
They'll be showing up to like tryouts and tournaments and stuff out of shape. I'm like, that is not good, sweetheart. But so, yeah, I look at that and shell drill, because too many kids are sitting in zones, and I cannot teach you how to guard somebody, you know, in a couple of years at the college level. I know that sounds bad, but
it's the truth.
It is, like, you just the awareness of where you're at, you know, in help side or whatever it is. They just
exactly.
I have to recruit kids that play man-to-man defense, because I've tried that.
Wow, that's interesting. And I'm going to clip that for real. So you're telling me if I have a big that's sat in that 2-3 or 3-2 zone, you can't do it?
It's gonna be too hard. Like, at the college level, we have a shot clock, the timing, the pacing, the tempo of it all, the speed. And if you're used to just sitting there and not actually having to be aware of your man and the ball, that it takes time to learn that. Like, I agree. I coach middle school kids, and it took them some time to learn that. I say, it's gonna be a rough summer, ladies. But in a year from now, you're going to be grateful, because it starts to become second nature the longer you do.
Now, wait a minute. Now, she's 6'4". You're not going to take the roll them dice?
I've never been one that gets caught up in the height. I was an undersized post player, and so I'll recruit a 5'10" post that goes and snags rebounds. I don't care.
Really? Okay.
I know some coaches do. They like 6'4". You can't teach height. I'm like, yeah, you also can't teach sprinting, running the floor, rebounding, scoring around the rim, you know. So, but
like you. That's a great philosophy. That is great that you even said that. So that lets me know your team is tenacious on D.
Oh yeah,
or they're not going to play.
Or they're not going to play.
Yeah. Man, okay. We almost made me forget my second question. So we talked about the shell drill and how important that is. Let me ask this from a recruiting standpoint. And, you know, I'm not saying this is a secret or not, because you said I can see you fit in our offense a certain way. Mm-hmm. Do you break down the recruiter's tape that you've seen to say, okay, I've watched your high school film and I see right here, this is how you can fit into our system?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I mean, and I use that when I'm recruiting them to say, yes, you know, your coach runs a similar offense of what I'm going to be asking you to do, which anytime you can recruit kids that already do what you're trying to get them to do, it's better than trying to almost teach a whole new style of play to a kid. Now, granted, maybe not at their high school, but they might run the same style of play in their AAU ball. So, I mean, I kind of look at both sides of it, but definitely I want to see how well you execute. I want to see how well you read screens. Do you set screens? How well do you move without the ball? Because 90% of the game is when you don't have the ball. And people send me clips of kids dribbling in place. And I just be like, oh, okay. Send me the full game film. And I always watch the full game film from the tip to the end, because I want to see what you do when you don't have the ball in your hands. Are you turning it over? You know, are you just standing and watching? Are you actively moving? Are you flat-footed? Are you aware? Like, what are you doing? Because that's another part of it too, is, you know, trying to get them to transition to this level and understand you have to execute every possession.
Let me add, man, you are killing this interview. You're killing it. Let me ask this. So you said you like to watch full games. Do you like to watch one game, 2, or 3 when you're recruiting a player?
Send me as many as you can, because it don't send me the game film of y'all playing the Smurfs. Like, I want to see some competition. Like, you know, send me your top team in your district game. I want to see how she, you know, plays against the best.
Better competition.
Essentially, that's probably kids, somebody on that team is going to the next level. So it'll give me a better evaluation. But yeah,
where you stand.
Like, 2 or 3 game films, and it doesn't, and coaches will send you like, oh, she had 20 points in this game. And I'm looking at the score like, but y'all lost by 30. I don't care about that. I don't care if she scored 20, but she gave up 30. I can do math. Y'all lost, you know?
Now, boy, you're touching on what we talked about in the previous segment. So there's 2 things which you just said right there. The first one is, I know we're not there for high school yet, but for AAU they do it. So do you like to watch an AAU full game and a high school full game? Because we both know those are 2 different styles of play.
Absolutely. AAU will let them play a little bit, but most of the AAU teams I see are running man-to-man, so at least I get to see you playing man-to-man defense, and usually they're pressing, so I'll get to see you up in the press because I like to press. So I don't really want kids that ain't never pressed before. But I will say I like to watch high school because honestly, that's the best picture of what you're going to look like when you get here. You know, AAU kind of picks kids up, you know, it's not as much structured. There are some well-run AAU programs.
Yes.
I'll be honest,
I agree with that.
Really well-run, well-coached AAU programs, and I would take, you know, a kid off their team in a heartbeat. But high school, you have to have grades and be eligible. You have to come to practice every day. You know, it's much more like the structure that you get at this level. And I honestly don't recruit from every high school. You know, I want to recruit from winning programs. I go to practices and I watch you practice. I want to see if you're being taught every day or if they just rolling the balls out and saying, let's see what happens. You know, I get very into details on what you're doing at high school, because it really is like, it's almost the exact same thing what you're going to see when you get here. The players and the talent is much more comparable to AAU, but the structure of it all, is she showing up on time? Is she, you know, in ISS? You know, that kind of stuff is going to give me a better picture of if you're going to succeed when you get to me.
I want to elaborate on what you just said. For the most part, love everything you just said. You said that you don't recruit from every school.
Mm-mm.
I want to touch on that. Why don't you recruit from every school?
I have a philosophy that you have to recruit winners, and you have to recruit kids that know how to win, and kids who blame their coach. I don't.
Okay.
I don't mess around with them. And if the coach isn't teaching, they're going to struggle with me because I'm a teacher at heart. So every practice we're learning. In the weight room, we're learning about the body. You know, we have classes and we teach about time management. You're going to struggle under me if you're not used to being taught. Now, I've had a few kids that I've taken a chance on. Ended up doing really well. But the ones who didn't work out for me were the ones who came from undisciplined, unstructured high school programs where anything goes. And so it made me start looking a lot closer into kind of what they were being taught in high school.
That's a great, I've never thought about that, to be honest with you. When you said it, it just caught me because I'm like, there's some great kids on losing programs.
Yes. I know. Yeah. But it's hard to teach them how to win. They can go get you a bucket. But winning is different. Winning is different. It means that you may not be the one shooting the shot, but you might be the one setting the screen.
Setting the pick. Yeah. I like that.
I'll take a kid that averaged 10 points and 8 rebounds on a winning program over a 20-point and 15 rebound on a losing team any day, because you know how to win. And it's hard for me to teach you how to win because people who know how to win love to win and hate to lose. And people who've been losing for 4 years, it's hard to teach them how to win.
Well, what if they're showing that passion and they just got, like you said, I get what you're saying and I like what you're saying. Actually, I really do. But I'm thinking, not every kid is like this. What if that kid that stands out, that is going after every loose ball, but you got 4 other people that are just, they're not that. Like, that's going to stand out, right? We can agree on that. That's going to stand out. Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to take a chance on that kid?
It would have to be the right situation. And I've taken a few kids like that, but I had to almost like insulate them with winners. And so,
and I agree with that. Mm-hmm. So that probably took some time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's a balance. I don't mind taking a risk on a kid or two. I actually like, a couple of risky kids, if you will. I think you have to surround them by really good kids that win, that take care of their business, that are mature. And it's a balance. I won't take more than maybe 2 on one roster.
Would you redshirt that kid? Would you redshirt that kid that we're talking about?
They probably wouldn't like not playing, I'm guessing. But it's an idea. You could redshirt them.
Yeah. And I'm just talking philosophy with you because I'm picking your brain, and as I'm thinking this, I'm thinking if you're taking a chance on that kid and you're trying to make that kid a winner, that's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-mm.
If I was the assistant and I was in your ear, I'd be like, give her a year.
Reassured her.
Give her a year. And like you said, now unless she's a bucket.
Yeah.
Now we can work some things out then if she's a bucket. But listen, honey. We just need to change some things, but we don't normally do this. So I agree with you. That's a different philosophy. To be honest, I'm going to take that in and think about that because I never thought about it like that. Like kids on losing programs, they don't know how to win. And even if they're getting bad instruction, they kind of overlook. I guess I've always been the type of coach who's like, well, they just need to come over here and we can work that out. But in your situation, you don't have time for that.
We don't have time for it. And I've done that before and got burned. And so you kind of learn and go back and look and you're like, what could we have done better? Or what could we have done different? I do think I've had a few kids where they've worked out and were, fantastic for us. And I was glad I took the risk. But I you have to have, I would say probably 80% of your roster, I believe, they got to know how to win. They got to come from winning programs. They got to have experience in playoffs, you know, been to the state tournament, on the AAU circuit, you know, winning, you know, because it's just winning is a mentality and it's an expectation. Sure. If you've not done it consistently, you'll be up in a game 15, 16 points and just blow the lead because you don't know how to win and you don't understand time management. And so, I mean, you can teach some of that stuff to a certain degree, but if I got a whole roster full of them, I can expect to lose, you know, because none of them know what to do. I'll be even more specific with you. My point guards for sure have to come.
Yeah, because those are your time management. We're on the same page on that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm thinking more from a big or a power forward because that ball.
Yeah.
There's nothing to talk. Like your point guard has to be the second coming of you out there on the floor, basically.
That's right.
So I agree wholeheartedly with that. You know, as we know, bigs sometimes take time to develop.
Yes, they do.
So I'm thinking from that perspective, and you know what? I'm gonna have to sleep on that tonight, man. You may get a message from me like, you know, I thought about this, and what about this? Because that's just a situation where, wow, I'm just gonna have to think about that one. I've never thought about that. At first, I was like, gosh, that's kind of harsh. But then when I think about it, I'm like, you know what? That's really true because when you're in an environment where, especially when you have the talent,
right,
and they're up 10, 15 points, and it's halftime, they're looking great, and then that other team just outplays you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that coaching or is that the player?
You know, I think it can be both. I'm a firm believer that players win and lose games. I mean, my opening statement to my coaches, every school that I signed to was, hey, you got to the playoffs when you signed me, you know, at this point. I mean, I ain't seen the rest of the team yet, but for sure, you know, I had that will, you know, and that drive. And so I think players win and lose games. I would say it depends on kind of how they're losing, because every team goes on a run. And then I like to talk to players after the day after a game like that and see what their perspective is. Do they own it? Like, we just relaxed, or we didn't box out, we gave up too many offensive rebounds, or we just started turning it over. Do they own it? Because then that's a kid that I feel like you can work with. Or they say, well, it's the coach. It's the coach this, the coach that. And when they start doing that, I'm just like, because you're going to do that to me. So nope. At the end of the day, the coach can sub you in and out. Don't get me wrong. But baby, when you're on the court, that's you making them shots or missing.
That's true.
That's you.
What you just said right there, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. Are you asking that from a recruiting standpoint, what you just said?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like to talk to them, especially after a tough loss.
After a tough loss, yeah.
I love to talk to them after wins. Of course, everybody's happy to talk after a win, but I want to know how they handle adversity. Because there's always room to grow, even if you win. But are you the person that plays the blame game after a loss, or do you take ownership? Because you can't fix nothing you won't own. So if it's the coach, you can't fix that. And so I'll ask them kind of in a roundabout way to see if they at least are willing to hear that. But if they just know it's the coach this, the coach, yeah, we should have been pressing and she had us in a zone and blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I watched you give up 3 offensive rebounds in a row on the weak side, but I guess that's the coach. I don't know. And I've seen some bad coaching, don't get me wrong, but players have way more power than what some of them try to admit. They would much rather say it's somebody else. But players, I mean, you're on the court. You can affect the game way more than a coach.
Last question, man. Gosh, and this is an important one as well.
Mm-hmm.
How much, when you go to recruit a kid and you see an unruly parent, how does that affect your recruitment of that player?
Yeah. I don't want you. Because at this level, we recruit parents too. And you're not going to come to this level and all of a sudden get some couth. So my theory is you got to recruit, what you need. And what they show you is what you can expect to get when they get here.
That is true.
And so we recruit parents at this level, and that's a part of the recruitment process. And if the parents are, unruly, it will get you. It's too many kids. I mean, we're talking international across this entire state. It's too many players out there. We just cross them off the list and move on when we see that.
Okay. Let me add a piece to that question before I let you go. I'm assuming there's a difference between a passionate parent, the one that's stomping defense and, blocks out and this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you're okay with that. But when it's more of berating the referee or the coach, something to that extent is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you said defense. I mean, if the parent is yelling defense, I'm all in right there. What parents are yelling that these days? But if they're yelling, if they're yelling shoot every time their kid touches the ball, I'm concerned by that. Or they feel like they have to coach every touch. Shoot, dribble, pass. I'm like, relax, let these kids play. What do you think they practice every day? But to be specific, if it's like you said, berating or it shoot, trying to tell your kid what to do all the time, just be supportive of the whole team. And if I call you and you talking about you scored 20, but your team lost, I don't like that. I'd be like, Coach, we won. Good. We'll get into the stats at some other point. You helped your team win. That's good. And I want to hear more parents. Parents should care more about the team winning than their kid, shooting all the shots.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think parents should care more about the team getting better. Because you spend the parent spends just as much time there as the coach almost. And you can see from day one of the season till state playoffs or how much the team has improved and how much they've gotten better. So
absolutely.
I agree with you, but for me, it's if that team has come together and they're better as a team, as crazy as this sounds, because I mean, listen, I hate to lose. I'll be the first to tell you, I hate to lose. But I'm going to speak on it from an AAU level.
Yeah,
I'll take that loss on the AAU level if the team is getting better, because that's what it's supposed to be about. AAU isn't supposed to be about wins and losses. You're supposed to be able to give that kid back to the high school coach and be like, you got a better player now.
Yeah, they're better. They got better over the last few months. Yeah,
exactly. Now, do we want to win? Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat that now. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Do we want to win? Sure. But
you're right. You can win and still not get better. Like you can win ugly.
You're
right about that.
And so when you get back, you're struggling in high school because what we were trying to teach you, we kind of gave it up at the expense of a win. That's not good. So
that's right.
I agree. The last thing, you mentioned when you go to tournaments. Now, would you agree that isn't it beneficial for you to have the stats in your hand at an AAU tournament?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now that doesn't always happen because it is expensive. Jesus, it's expensive. But that draws you to that type of tournament because you're like, oh, like you said, this person, I can see they took 15 shots. They only got 8 points or 6 points. There's a problem here. Or this person got 42 points, but they shot 36 times.
Right.
That's a problem. But the parent or the coach or the AAU director is like, did you see him put in 36? Yeah, I saw him shoot 42 times too.
Right. I'm big on analytics though. I love Some coaches don't get into it. I love analytics. Like you talked about shooting percentage, how many shots you're taking. Like that's a lot of possessions, turnover, stuff like that. Kind of how much do you value the ball? I love it. If I could get that would
one of my good friends is at UTSA, Coach Adam Hood. He is huge on analytics. So when I say he's huge, it's to the point I'm like, okay, you just take it too far. You take it way too far. And as much as I love him, I'll be like, man, listen, that's just too much. That's too much.
Yeah,
you hurt my head.
Then we can talk analytics.
That's the person. If you go back on one of the shows, I'll send when I had him on the show. He's huge on everybody that knows him calls him Mr. Analytics. He's the assistant coach.
Yeah.
Huge. Don't get me wrong. I do like analytics, but not to that point. I'm like, okay, that's too much. That's too much. No. We're getting away from the game here.
That's right. That's right.
Away from the game. But Coach, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I love your philosophy. I love your take on recruits and your take on the game. I think you're going to be great next year and for years to come. And I wish you all the best, definitely.
Yes, thank you. I enjoyed it too. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Trust me. My sisters live in Houston, so I may have to sneak up there and check a game out. Definitely.
Yes, please do. Fort Worth, come see us.
Definitely. Well, Coach, this will definitely not be your last time because the jewels you dropped, I will be dropping clips and putting this on the page because kids and parents need to hear what you're saying because some of them don't have a clue. And maybe if it comes from your mouth so they can understand, listen, coaches are looking at this and I don't care. And that's why I'm making a point to have men and women coaches because I'm an advocate because you are just as knowledgeable as any guy on this. And I have no problem saying this because you're very knowledgeable in the game and you passed it. I had to laugh about it a little bit, but yeah, I'm like, oh, so you don't like to lose. Okay. I see you out there. And even to the point, if I'm not playing, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. I got to play. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to earn my minutes, but I need at least a chance to play. Yeah.
I definitely, and I can appreciate and respect that as well. But, again, thank you again for coming on here. I mean, you were awesome tonight. Definitely awesome. And at some point, sometime next year, I'll be like, I had to bring my buddy back. Have to bring her back on here.
That's right.
Like I said, one of the other things, at some point, I want to get into more of, I have a buddy that runs a lot of these camps. And I probably put you in touch with him because what you bring and what you're looking for, especially at some of these camps. And matter of fact, he's going to have one in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. And he started it on the girls' side as well.
All right.
So I would definitely put you in touch with him.
Please do.
Definitely. Again, whatever I can do to help, I'm here to help. And if I need some help, I'll be calling you as well. I appreciate it. You have definitely a good night, and thank you so much for coming on, okay?
Yes, thank you. You have a good one.
All right, you take care, Coach Jackson. You take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Hey, listen, for a lot of you people that have this preconceived notion that women coaches are not just as talented as some men's coaches, that right there will definitely discount that right there. I promise you, in 2 or 3 years, she will have that team winning. If you had a problem with it, you can email me, you can text me, whatever you want to do. She's going to be a winner. You can see it. I'm not here to gloat, but I guarantee you in 2 years, I'll be like, I told you so. That's going to wrap up the show for tonight. We had 3 great people on the show tonight. I mean, from Coach Eatman, thank you again. Jarrell, I appreciate you, brother. And Coach Jackson, that was a pleasure. I'll probably get off here laughing tonight because, you did great. We got some good ones lined up over the next couple of weeks. And so stay tuned. we're going to keep drilling this thing to you parents, to you players, to you coaches, to you all. Get educated on this, because that's what this show is about. It's also helping kids. Actually, we didn't even get a chance to go into the unsigned. We'll bring that back up next week. I want to thank you guys for checking it out as usual. We got some big news next week coming up. Kind of gave it away a little bit this week, but we will officially announce it next week. So everybody stay tuned. You can find us on Hoops Hitting Gems, or you can find us on Women's Hoops Hitting Gems as well on the women's side. Definitely stay in touch. You guys have a good rest of the week, and I appreciate you all for checking us out. Take care.